Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Week in Hospitality Digital Marketing live show number 198, coming to you live from almost Amsterdam. It's actually a little town called Haarlem, just outside of Amsterdam. I hear someone else joining. Is it Stuart Butler?
Hello.
Who are you talking to?
Oh, my God. I thought I was going to be like flying solo or something this week.
It's
I was
the Three
like,
Stooges.
Ed was
go.
going to be working. Gentlemen, welcome. Thank you so much for making it. Although I think, and Robert's going to join. Although Robert can't seem to count.
Yes, we saw that.
Huh?
We saw that.
I'm sorry. Did you say something?
Robert.
Yeah, can you hear me? Hello.
Hello?
I can hear you, Ed.
I can hear Ed.
I can hear Robert.
That's good.
So Lauren's just giving me a complex then. Are you messing with us, Lauren? Lauren's ignoring us. Lauren looks like he's in his high school bedroom.
Maybe.
He's in the Netherlands, man.
Yeah, but is he in someone's house? Like, what are all these pictures?
I might have a.
Is that a hotel room?
Gentlemen,
we can hear you, Lauren.
We can hear you. You just can't hear us.
Try not streaming 17 simultaneous video streams.
Yeah, exactly.
Turn off your BitTorrents, Lauren.
Yeah, there we go.
Well,
all right, Lauren left us.
And now we're in trouble. Who's hosting?
Robert.
Not it.
Hey! What do you mean? I don't know if I'm capable of hosting. I got the show number wrong.
Yeah,
in the email. So we can talk about last week's stuff, I think. But
it is tough because you have to increment that number every week. I mean,
right.
That's a lot of responsibility.
It is. Yeah. So I have no idea how that happened, but I was consistent at least. So there you go. So yeah, what can you do? So anyway, but I threw out some things. Should we wait? Well, we can have.
I actually thought your topics this week were, fairly interesting. So I.
You know why they were the best topics you've ever put out there?
These were the best topics I've ever put out.
There wasn't one article focused on Airbnb. So congratulations.
That is true. Although a couple of the articles did mention Airbnb.
They did, but they weren't like
they weren't the topics
focused.
They weren't centered on it. Yeah,
correct. Yeah,
agreed.
So next week it's going to be nothing mentioned Booking.com. Excellent.
No, because that's relevant to our industry. And it's not fear mongering.
Yes.
The Booking.com topic was one of the key points of topic in the Orlando HSMAI event this week.
Oh, really?
One of the key discussion points. Yeah,
it's a big deal for the Orlando market. I mean, because they were one of the first to really embrace these resort fee things.
Vegas was the leader. But Orlando, the Super 8 Kissimmee decided when they decided to get into that pool as well. You really kind of went, wait a second. So
Orlando's a lot like Myrtle Beach in that there's a high percentage of properties that have condotels that they have individual homeowners. So the resort fees not only are a good way to stick it to the OTAs, but they're also a good way to keep more of your share when you're dealing with homeowners as well. So they're going to be very resistant to giving up some of that revenue.
Are they going to be resistant enough to pull their inventory from Booking.com?
No.
So then,
because it's a stupid fee anyway. They
it's futile.
Yeah, resist all you want. If you're not willing to walk away, you've already lost.
Nope.
Right.
The consumer's who's going to lose, because it just means that those fees will go up 10% or 15% to cover the commission that they're going to pay to Booking for it. And Expedia is going to follow suit pretty soon. Within the next few weeks, you'd imagine.
They shouldn't exist, number one. And those fees should just be in the room rate because they are room rate. And almost every jurisdiction, except New York, weirdly enough, really considers it as being taxable and things like that. I mean, because it's a mandatory fee. They have to pay it. So
you don't have a choice.
Yeah, and my argument was always, well, rooms divisions of hotels are generally 70% profit margin or something like that. Why shouldn't just be 30% be the base fee and 70% be the resort fee, right?
Why not?
You can justify it any way you want, but all of it's basically BS because it shouldn't exist. So good for Booking.com.
Yeah,
I say. Yeah.
Can you guys hear me now?
We could hear you the whole time.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear anybody.
So Lauren, whose bedroom are you in?
Can you hear us now? Can you hear us, Lauren?
This time my mother-in-law's. Outside the window is a wonderful, very noisy where it was sitting place. So I came inside. In the back, you have some historical pictures of my wife and her sister. It's very homey, very warm.
I actually had commented when you couldn't hear us that it looked like you were in your high school bedroom or something. So wasn't far off.
Wasn't too far.
Dynamic of that room.
Far off. Yeah, no, this is at my mother-in-law's, and this is her family pictures behind me. I was going to find a clean, sterile wall outside, but they decided just as I was going to sit outside to do road construction, and all the kids get out of school with their scooters. So it was a menagerie of sound. I didn't think I wanted to put everybody through and everything. But welcome
we
to
appreciate
the Netherlands.
All right.
It's been fun. I had a fun presentation and went very well. And I was asked to be whisked off to Oslo, but I couldn't quite make the arrangement for it. So they were very excited about all the fun stuff that you and I and everybody else gets to talk about on the show. They're like, we got to join the show. And I'm like, yes, you should. So anyways, glad to be here.
Those Europeans,
Which
man,
topic you guys want
I
to
got to tell you, the European HSMAI people, they're smart. They know what's what.
Mhm.
They know who's the top 25 mind.
Because you were named in the top 25 there, but not in the US. That's hilarious. But I do agree. I do tend to think that Europeans in general are smarter than Americans. But hey, I might be a little biased.
Yeah,
They were
but
very savvy as to
listen,
rules and regulations.
Hold up. Your whole crew doesn't want to be part of Europe anymore.
Well, half does, half doesn't. There's the problem.
Yeah, you got a new prime minister now because of it coming.
We will, once they figure out who it's going to be.
I don't know who would want to step up for that, man. Like,
yeah, you can bet on it. You can bet on anything in England. If you want to put some money down, you can bet on who it's going to be. So
that's great.
I think the favorite right now is Boris, but we'll see what happens.
I always, when we travel, I always enjoy the fact that you get a lot more of a unbiased news and a lot more comprehensive news when you go outside of the U.S.
Sky News.
And
I love Sky
but just the whole Libyan thing, the immigration issue with Italy getting more seats into the EU election right now that's going on.
Yeah,
stuff that never makes U.S. news. None of that's U.S. news. All that
because
stuff
it's happening outside of the U.S.
Well, and because
the
U.S. news is absolutely obsessed with Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like there was a time, it was either earlier this week or late last week, where I actually it stood out to me. I was going through the CNN app and I'm like, wow, I've gone through 6 consecutive stories and there wasn't a single Trump story. What's going on here?
That's funny.
Yeah.
You should be able to have a filter where you're like, if it's like me with Airbnb, I don't want to see any articles that are glorifying or fear mongering about Airbnb. Should have a filter that says, don't show me these articles. Brock Cheetah, get on that on your Twitter feed. Have a non-Airbnb Twitter feed. But I want a non-Trump one too. So I don't have to hear any nonsense.
Agreed.
From either side.
I don't know if there would be much. I think they would have a hard time with a 24-hour news network. I think would be starved out.
No, we'd have to get real news instead of sensationalized nonsense.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, the doldrums of summer.
Which there's probably a segue there into one of your articles.
Well, I was going to say now that we've scared Tim Peter from coming on this show, because
can we talk about how TripAdvisor prepares to woo advertisers outside of travel and hospitality?
Oh, we can certainly do that. Another, not really
just another signal that TripAdvisor completely doesn't give a crap about anyone. They don't care about travel. They don't care about travelers. They care about no one except for Wall Street.
They're investors. Right.
Yep. This could be, unless there's another pivot left in them, which I hope there is, this could be one of the final nails in their coffin. You're going to see them spiral down and down from here. They're losing sight of what made them great in the first place. Completely losing sight.
Yeah. They're just going to be a junk retailer. Hey, looking for a beach vacation? Buy sunscreen here. Buy your pup tents there. Buy your beach chairs there. It's just going to be a pile of junk.
Oh, I don't think. Oh, no. I think they're going to not even be travel. Just anything. Here's a demographic. Throw up.
Get a degree from SNHU.
Anything. Right.
That's right.
Yeah. They're whoring out their database, and that's the worst thing they could do at this point.
Their database.
They're losing confidence from their consumers already because they've already alienated them by doing stuff like sponsor positions, which is the stupidest thing they could ever have done the way they've done it. So people are not going to trust them. And when they can't trust them and when they're losing trust and getting irritated at the same time, they're going to go look somewhere else. And right alongside this happening, Google's building up their mammoth empire. And I don't know if you guys are seeing this or not, but we're seeing more velocity in reviews on Google now than we are TripAdvisor for almost all of our clients.
We've actually advised our partners to shift in our platform to encouraging people to review on Google or their Facebook page because we think there's just more value there. Plus, right now, at least, Google and Facebook aren't following up 30 days after a review trying to sell that traveler on coming back to the market, but excluding you in the ad. TripAdvisor still does that. They still retarget the people you drive to TripAdvisor to review you
with other stuff.
They're retargeting them with your competitors in market.
Yeah, it's really frustrating. You're exactly right, Ed, when you said that they're beholden to Wall Street alone because they're not serving the consumer anymore. They have not been for a while. They're certainly not they're not serving the hotel industry in any way because every decision they make pisses off my clients more and more. So this is, I mean, they've jumped the shark as far as I'm concerned. They're in their final breath right now.
Yeah. Well, have you been to the TripAdvisor homepage recently? I mean, on my trip to Italy for 2 weeks, that site is almost unusable. The only thing we used it for were restaurant reviews because Yelp isn't as strong over there. That was the sole purpose because I just opened it up just now. It has where to, right, with just kind of a generic, I don't even know where that is, right? And then they have, it looks like a news feed from Facebook, and it says, fastest way to beat the constant traffic, Beijing's easy-to-use subway. And it's like, wow, could you have possibly found anything I could care less about, right? I mean, it's just insane.
The one below it business in Siberia probably could have been good.
Oh no, the one right below it, Punta Cana, Playa del, top beaches. It's like, well, I'm not going
because that's people that are probably spending more money with them than
in Dallas.
Relevant.
Well, or in Dallas, they see my IP address in Dallas. Yes, people in Texas tend to go to Mexican beaches and things like that than people in the Northeast during the summer and things like that.
They've lost the plot, man. They've completely lost the plot.
Yep.
Great place.
It's going to destroy them.
And I think it's wonderful. I'm not going to lie. I think it's wonderful because I've always said they were the worst to the hotels of anything that's come up to power in the consumer path. They have been far more damaging to hotels than any of the OTAs, than Meta, than any of the stuff that's come up and squeezed itself between travelers and hotels. TripAdvisor was the worst.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying it.
Well, yeah, but this pivot, what they're doing is they're trying to, I think they're trying to get the influencer market or something. I don't know, because it's people's reviews. Here's another one. Oddly limited French restaurant, a 3-star review of a French restaurant in Madrid. And it's like, what the hell are you, I don't think it was targeting because
there's no strategy, there's no leadership, there's no vision. They're just trying to say, how can we make our numbers next month? What can we do? And it's really, really dangerous.
And there's no one there saying no.
Right.
Is what it seems like.
Right. They need some strength in leadership in that place that are going to stand up and say, guys, we're completely losing sight of what made us great in the first place. Mm-hmm. And they're going to take a bath in the short term at Wall Street if they do the right thing. But guess what? They're not going to have a business if they don't do the right thing.
Well, they're going to get acquired. I mean, it's just not.
But for a fraction of the cost they could have sold 2 years ago.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So, But who wants them at this point? I mean, where's the value? The value in TripAdvisor is decreasing by the day.
Right. They've got a lot of unique monthly visitors, right? That's it.
For now.
For now. And I'm sure it's got to be eroding.
Yeah.
So, I would certainly think.
Yeah. And it's simple, right? Their strategy needs to be to go back to what was successful for them at the very beginning, which is how do we provide a service to the consumer that is valuable to the consumer?
Yeah, but I think that opportunity's
like a
gone.
TripAdvisor. You're saying
But that
like
opportunity's
a TripAdvisor?
gone.
Wow.
That's the problem.
Maybe,
They
I don't know.
can't recreate themselves back to the beginning because the beginning's already better on Facebook and on Google. Like,
Yeah.
why?
Yeah, but they
'Cause on
still
Google,
have
anything
a
I
brand
search
that
for-
matters, though, right? People
Right.
still
Sure. Turn them
they
into an
still
OTA.
Make reviews and TripAdvisor are synonymous still. You know, they
Right.
have that a little bit of authority left. But again,
Maybe
it's
hotel
eroding
beds
by the
can
day.
buy them and just plug all their rates up into it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. They got to do something though, because they're going to get eaten alive by Google in the next 12 months.
Yeah. But I mean, let's
Oh,
face
yeah.
it. I would never want to be in a situation where Google was going after my core business model
Nope.
and already had it deployed.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
Give it time, buddy, because they're going to go after all of our business models eventually.
Well, and any of the big guys. I mean, look at Amazon mentions the name of some industry sector, and all of a sudden it craters. Their share price goes up. It's like, wait a second, well,
Well, okay. Keep on the article about how you can buy food through Google now. One of the other articles that Robert gave us today.
yeah. Do you guys like that?
yes.
Themselves up to Google.
You don't need the app. You don't
You
need
know,
the app anymore.
Yeah. You know, I wonder
Right.
though how
It's like,
much
okay,
it's going to get used,
Give up money,
right? But
control the audience.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I get why someone would do it for distribution, but as a consumer, the beauty of an app is, you know, it's remembering everything. It's, you know, I go straight for a purpose. Like I use pizza apps and things like that, and I can just say reorder, click done. So there's a lot of convenience in that in an app.
Yeah, but Google's reading your Gmail. They can figure out your order
they
stuff.
can read
I
your
mean,
mind and know when you're hungry for pizza and do
right.
it. Yeah.
They're going to
I
be
know
like,
it-
Stuart, you haven't been to the gym in a few months, so we're going to throw some desserts up in here too for you.
Yeah, it's just like what they've done with hotel ads, but for food. I mean, it's essentially the same thing.
So this is, I mean, and this is the hilarious thing. You know, we haven't talked about Uber's IPO.
Right.
But you know, the funny thing is the general public has realized that Uber's business model is stupid. And
Well, it's great. It's great for consumers right now
the thing
because
they've done,
you're
the
getting
change
you
they've
pay
made-
$1 for something that costs $1.33 to produce. Right.
Right. Congratulations.
Yeah.
You know, the consumer wins. But what's funny is I think they were hoping the consumers were going to drive the value of that business. But all consumers are like, no, I'm paying $1 for something that costs you $1.33.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm not going to invest in you. It's stupid.
Right.
And the problem Uber has is anything else they do that is, you know, kind of an endpoint on the app, you know, audience that they have. Their biggest problem is if they prove something is valuable, Amazon can just go, oh, okay, we're doing that now.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
boom. Because
Or
I'm
Google.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually think Amazon in this case. I think as far as the app
Maybe.
goes, I don't know
yes.
about you guys. I use my Amazon app all the time. Like when I go through a store, if I'm going to buy something, I just quickly scan it with my Amazon app to make sure it's not cheaper somewhere else.
I get to tell you this.
Showrooming.
I'm like the super dork. I'm walking around with my Google Translate screen on everything. I'm like, what's this? What's this? What's this? Menus.
Yeah,
you know,
WorldLens,
labeled on
man.
food.
That was one of the coolest acquisitions they made.
yeah.
I used to use WorldLens
Yeah.
all the time. I was like a beta customer of theirs. I loved that application because for traveling internationally, it's amazing. And it always was neat. So beyond being amazing that it could translate anything really quick, the animation of how it changed the sign or the menu and stuff like that was also just really the cool factor of that app was awesome. And Google didn't murder it. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I do
utility
the
of it
translate
what
thing.
made it
where I
great.
talk to it. I talk to it, and then I hand it out, and then make it play back in Dutch, so I can actually order and do stuff.
Yeah.
People look at me it's like, you're a dork, and I'm like, yeah, I know.
He's like, until there's a babble fish, this is all I can do.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for this Google thing, though, I mean, the combination of, progressive web apps and that they've deployed this wasn't the thing with the food wasn't just, well, we put it over here in search or we tried it there. I mean, it is in search. It's in maps. It's in Google Assistant. It's It's there,
Mhm.
They're
right?
starting to
It's part
tie
of the
everything
DNA now.
together. I mean,
And
this
it's tied together with Google Pay, and you
Yep.
kind of go, okay,
Right.
I think we got it.
Yeah. So
And that's
I
going to
mean,
happen to us. It's going to happen to hotels. It's going to do
Yeah.
the same thing. We're gonna
That's
create our
why
booking.
that's why I put it in there.
right. Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because
Let's
what's going to
settle him.
happen is right now you got this battle going on in most markets between Grubhub, Uber Eats, DoorDash. There's a ton of them, but some of those are not going to
Postmates,
survive
yeah.
this, right? Because Google doesn't really care which service it is, and
No.
ultimately Google is going to be the service. So the people that really benefit from this are the consumers with the convenience and probably a price break, and the restaurants who are now getting access to a lot of customers. And
and some
talking
of
to
it-
restaurants here, some of them are really happy with this phenomena. That's
Yeah,
just
I
really
was just going to say that.
crept
There's a
up.
restaurant not far from us. It's a poke restaurant.
Yeah.
And we order from them a lot. And it's from time of hitting order on Uber Eats to the time it's at my door. It's 17 minutes. It's been each time.
Sick,
Yeah.
dude.
It's insane. Like,
That's so
well,
convenient.
it's so much faster than if
Yeah.
I drove there and back and
Yeah.
waited in line.
Yeah.
And
Well,
like
and
they
yeah.
removed all possible friction and time with that restaurant. And what's funny is we eat there more often now because
Right.
like we get it more often now because it's like, you know what? It's Friday night. We don't feel like going out. We don't want to hit traffic.
Mhm.
All right, yeah, let's just order poke and boom.
I'll add it, the EU perspective of this. So we've been coming over for many years to visit family, and some of these the Indonesian restaurants that we love that you order takeout, you literally go up to the counter and you pick what you want and you bring it home. We're so used to being in a big, huge line. So the first night we go out, it's like we walk up and there's nobody there. And we're like, this is freaking awesome. Meanwhile, they're all cranking like heck in the back. You know, they're just doing all this stuff. And so I walk in and we go to order. And I just asked them, it's like, so you guys doing okay? And they're like, what are you talking about? It's like, yeah. And all it was delivery people with electric scooters and hot boxes all lined up in the front. It was just being shoved into these things and taken off. Because down over here, parking's at a premium, traffic's at a premium. Everything's difficult and challenging to get even 5 or 10 minutes away from your place. And now it's just hit the button and boom, their delivery service is off the chain. They were saying it was over half of their business just on delivery.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of these restaurants that, they used to be a little bit more mom and poppy. They weren't very technologically advanced and that sort of thing. These guys all have Uber Eats and a section now of their restaurant. They've got part of the counter where they can just, it's like this, the bar, right? Where they just kind of go, okay, we got the people here, come over here, take it out. And
Well, and for them, it's great too, because in a lot of cases, those restaurants, if they wanted to do takeout, they had to have an employee.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a hassle.
And
then,
insurance.
and then,
they had
and how many? The surge.
Yeah.
Right.
How
But
to
they also
handle
had to deal
And
with like,
consistency and someone
people
calling in sick.
dissatisfied.
And, yeah.
they
right,
get lost. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
It's
You know who else really benefits from this phenomenon as well is Netflix and Hulu and eventually Disney, because people are staying at home, and guess what? They're not sitting around a dinner table eating this food like they would at a restaurant. They're sitting there watching stuff, like more media.
It's
consumption
Netflix
happening.
and Phil.
And then chill if you don't feel too much.
Depending on if it was Mexican or not.
Lauren
it's
was
true.
going to ask who Phil was, but that's okay.
but the idea is that to your point, Ed, it's like they don't have to have employees, they don't have to have a fleet of vehicles, they don't have vehicle maintenance or pay for insurance coverage of people's driving a busted up car or having background checks or anything like that. It's all shoved to somebody else.
Do you ever
All they
notice
have to
like,
do is pay the fee.
crap happens to the restaurant industry, and it's amazing for them. Anything that just gets created for the hotel industry is at the expense of the hotelier. Why does that always happen? Like everything that comes up and comes upon a restaurant is just works out great.
Yeah.
It makes
Reduces
their
their
business better.
overhead, increases
Right.
their revenue.
But
Yeah.
everything that happens to hotels screws them.
Yeah. Well, because it helps the management company or the brand or something like that.
Right.
Instead, they take they're the ones who make them do it.
Yeah, usually the brick and mortar people are the ones that have to pay the costs associated with it. Yeah.
Hey, but I push back a little bit, Ed, because not everything that happens in the industry. I'd say, Rock Cheetah, This Week in Hospitality Digital Marketing, Fuel, and Flip2 are great things that have happened to the industry that
It's
don't
true.
cost them too
I
much
agree.
and make them lots of money. So
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
I was being over sensational
Yeah, you were
again.
falling into that trap. You probably wanted
Yeah.
to put Trump in there somewhere to make it even more sensational.
Totally did.
Yeah.
Well,
Totally
or Stuart, you've stumbled upon Ed's evil plan, right? From
One of his many.
layers. Yeah, exactly. He's just penetrating the industry now before he can turn the screws, right?
In an evil way.
In an evil way. Yeah.
I'm evilly penetrating the industry.
Okay, let's not go there.
Have you chosen better words, please?
Hey, the real reason that Ed's
Stuart.
really excited about this delivery stuff, though, the real honest reason, and he's told me this.
I've
flat
told
out,
you, yeah.
Yeah, is because his name is weird and no one knows how to spell it or pronounce it. So
Oh,
he doesn't have to talk to a real person and make an order and tell him his last name anymore.
I
You
was
can do
all
it
in.
online.
I was like one of the first people all in on restaurants doing online
Yeah.
ordering
Yeah.
for that reason. And I actually told Stuart that story because I told him that's why I think he's all in on voice.
That's right.
Is
Because
because
I'm blind as a bat. I like voice because it's
Yeah.
easier for me, right? So it
Yeah.
removes our
Mhm.
prejudice or our personal friction.
Hey.
Yeah.
So I want to share one other travel thing for this that I thought was really strange. So in order to get on the plane here, or back in the States to get here, I had to have facial recognition first before I got on the plane. And then when I got on the plane, a whole different world on this side. I walk off and I'm walking into the main terminal. There is no, I mean, we're still behind the security line, but it's the main terminal. It's not the isolated international travel. And you literally walk through and they just stamp your passport because you have a receipt because they already ID'd you. So by the time you show up, they've seen you. They know who you are. You're just walking to go walk through and stamp. And if they want to stop you, they can stop you. Then you go out and grab your luggage and walk right out the door. Poof.
So they still
No
let
that,
him in.
that
Signing or
Amsterdam,
nothing. Yeah.
Amsterdam airport. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Schiphol. Yeah. Yeah.
We had
it's-
a
there's no
45
filling of the forms or anything.
Yeah, we had a 45-minute connection to get from there to Florence. And when I booked it, I actually did call Delta. I go, "You guys are sure this is a legal connection?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, AMS is great." And I was like,
They're not
All
wrong.
good.
It is a great airport.
"Yep."
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's great. Hey, Stuart, I gave you here's a link I want you to go peek at. I think it's great for your booth at High Tech.
Okay. How do I
I was
see
going to
the
buy you
link
one.
posted?
Oh, I
Hey, Matt?
posted it in the chat room. Chat link.
Haze HC Hazel
Hazel?
Club. Is it a cat thing?
Hey. No, it's a 3D projector.
Oh, a cat.
I thought you should put.
Oh,
I thought it was a cat. Yeah.
Well, I
Some
mean,
sort
their
of cat.
hero
So you-
image
is
is
a
a
cat.
woman holding a cat.
That's right.
Like someone, Stuart, before you buy this, maybe call and barter
have a
with them.
conversation with them about how to market. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, well, it says shop for what you want whenever you want. Well, I
right.
guess
But the
you can buy
pictures of
cats.
a cat. Yeah.
Well, you might want a cat. So maybe. I
Yeah,
don't
for
know.
that one slim group of demographics that might
Yeah.
want to.
Yep.
Yeah.
And,
That's
cool.
and once they get the kinks out of it, where they got to put holes in the box. That was a really bad mistake.
It took them a
when they
while.
first- exactly.
Well, and that's why the box is all shipped Schrodinger's cat. Because you just
That's right.
until you open the box, the cat's both alive and dead.
That's
Exactly.
hilarious.
Yep, that's right.
No, you're looking for the hollow. You're looking for the hollow projector, the Holocom. HOLOM.
That sounds like a holocron. I want it even more now because that's from Star Wars.
Hmm,
All right.
Yeah.
So let's
So-
maybe get back on.
How
like,
did you let's
let's get
actually
back on track.
good job?
wait.
on topics
We
this
need to
week?
we need to find out how Lauren found a Holocom projector on Hazel Club, because Hazel Club doesn't make these
Sounds like
or any. This is not the manufacturer. This is kind of like a curated purchase site.
Yeah. Yeah. This is not the manufacturer. Just go look at the product of it. It's the Holocron. It's $149 and it does this wicked cool 3D projection.
That's really
That's
cool.
like 24 inches wide. Yeah, and I thought put your logo in 3D and have it spin above your booth.
I will check it out, my friend. I will check it out. That's pretty
Okay.
good.
I thought it was good. Anyway, sorry. A little divergence. I just wanted to throw that in front of Stuart because I was like, man, if I see Stuart today, I shoot this link to him. My bad for not having the whole link on there. But anyways. What's the next topic, Mr. Robert?
I let you guys pick the. I like all these topics. Well, I don't know. Sometimes I throw in one that's really weird that I don't like.
Yeah. well,
Did you guys? I'd like the Y Hotel thing because it was actually on the Booking.com blog. But I thought it was pretty close to Airbnb for Stuart. No, I'm just teasing. It's not like Airbnb. No, I thought Y Hotel was pretty interesting, the pop-up hotel concept, because our rut row, was it last week or the week before, was the Taco Bell Hotel, right? That they're doing in Palm Springs, which I found out is only going to be open for 5 days, which is like, okay, well, I guess you got a major brand who wants to throw a bunch of money at something.
Yeah, it's a
that
marketing
makes sense.
stunt, but they're getting so much publicity from it. I mean, everyone I've seen is sharing it. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, but this one is a pop-up hotel that basically builds these out of, you got a new luxury hotel, building, or a new luxury apartment building, and all of a sudden it's a revenue stream, right? Because they can go, stay here, which is kind of a little quasi Airbnb-ish, right?
Yeah,
but
I mean,
or vacation, not Airbnb, vacation rental.
It's so niche that it's not like one of those things that has a place everywhere. Like, it would make absolutely zero sense in Orlando.
The vacation rental developers do it anyway, right? They've always done that.
Well, that's why it would make no sense in Orlando. They build entire apartment communities and just throw some core services on the first floor of it, and bam, it's a condo hotel. Or they sell all the units and it's vacation rental. I mean, these are things like, I always look at startups that start out of London or New York, and I ask myself constantly, like, do you think at all outside of these two cities? Like, okay, London, New York, Hong Kong, these types of things work great. Tokyo, yeah. Where, like, how about Dallas? No.
Yeah, maybe
Las Vegas.
Not.
No. And so, like,
I can see some remote driven stuff. I mean, just out of some of that stuff is like, and the reason why I say that is that I saw in the news over here, when they do these festivals at these places over here, they drive these big, huge semi trucks, big for even over here, that have septic systems and power systems. And they pull them into the area that these events are going, and they stream out connectivity and dump stations and all this other stuff, and they literally build like an RV park or camping park.
And just like when there's a Super Bowl in any Bay Area, cruise ships come in and dock and sell themselves as hotels. Like, that's right. There's nothing new about demand-based opportunistic businesses. I mean, the model I always thought was interesting was Cubic Hotel. Have you guys heard of Cubic?
No.
They're actually the ones that put up the kind of prefab rooms inside big spaces.
Inside a Class A space. Yeah. Actually, Lauren, you're in
Amsterdam
right now.
Oh, okay.
They have one in the World Trade Center there. It was the first one I got to go see. That, I think, is brilliant. We talked to the operator of the Amsterdam one, and they can go from blank space to turnkey hotel inside of 60 days. And then they can be out inside of 60 days. So when you talk about, like, interesting business model, and I actually went in the room, they're comfortable. They're a good sized bed. They're not cramped. They're just taking space that tends to sit empty. Large swaths of Class A space tend to sit empty, and turn it into something that is actually really interesting. So, like, I can get behind something like that more than a Y Hotel model, because at least the Cubic Hotel, like, that makes sense in a lot of cities, not just New York, London, Hong Kong, Japan, where the floor of real estate cost is, the sky in most other markets.
Well, I think Y Hotel's business is a little bit more for the developers who kind of go, okay, we can turn this into a hotel, and then when you're selling your condos and things like that, I mean, I don't know. You start looking.
Yeah, because as a luxury apartment buyer, that's what I want. I want to know that randos are renting, units around me when I'm paying top dollar for an apartment.
Yeah, but it's, I don't know. I think in a lot of
dumb ideas get promoted constantly in this industry.
Especially when they're piggybacking on a lot of buzzy stuff right now, right? I mean, it's a step removed from Airbnb and the alternative accommodation space. So therefore, people will talk about it and write about it right now. But I'm with Ed. I think this is not viable. It's not scalable. It's not going to disrupt the industry.
Oh no, I don't think it's going to be scalable.
And then rather than trying to do what everyone does to these businesses and like give the argument for the like 1% situation where this is like a good idea. Let's talk about why this is just a dumb idea.
Yeah. Or let's not talk about this. Let's talk about something that actually matters for the hospitality industry.
There you go.
The fact that people are over-reliant on OTAs, even though that Star just reported that there was record profit growth last year, right? So why are we in a situation where we're also reliant more on OTAs today than we were 10 years ago, when we've had 10 years of unprecedented growth? Why are we in that situation?
Because there hasn't been unprecedented investment into the infrastructure. Yeah, they've been taking profits and not reinvesting in the businesses.
It's going to bite everyone in the ass when the economy turns, because they won't have a faucet to turn on.
And the investment into the brands and things like that, as opposed to the actual, the properties and the owners, right? So
every major OTA that has risen to power has done so during a time of financial crisis.
They have, but then they've continued to grow during prosperity, which is ludicrous to me, right? They grew.
That's the key thing.
Wait.
So think about this, right? They grew in the financial crisis because hotels were panicked and they needed to turn somewhere to gain new business, right?
And consumers were willing to entertain new options for ways to save money.
But here's the problem, right? That faucet isn't an infinite faucet. And because these hotels are 50, 60, 70, 80% reliant on OTAs, when the crisis hits next time, you have nowhere to turn, at least nowhere profitable to turn. So you're going to be really fighting for your very existence unless you spend your profits now, which you've had for the last 10 years, instead of getting richer, you spend that on fortifying your business so that when it does happen, you're not having to rely on no one, because no one's going to exist that you can turn to. Because
we can't ignore our friend Tim.
Yeah, just made a great point.
Oh, Google's he said I was right.
Who swoops in? Yeah, so this can't be Tim Peter, because there's no way Tim Peter would say that. Yeah, but here's the thing. You know why they were able to continue growing in the upswing? Because they invested in understanding the consumer and what their desires are, and they invested in lifetime value of their brand.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and what have the brands done? The hotel brands, they have done two things that have helped the OTAs dramatically. Number one, let's focus on price comparison.
Yes,
where can you find the lowest price? And number two, let's introduce a bunch of meaningless, poorly differentiated brands, which make it more confusing. So I need to go look at a third party to go figure out what the hell these things are anyway.
Yeah.
So, congratulations, major hotel groups.
Yep.
I mean, we have somewhere between probably, and we could all be wrong, but we probably have between 1 and 5 years of good economy in front of us, right? There's a good chance that within 5 years, it's going to turn around for a little bit. And to what degree, I don't know. You should be doing everything you can with this year and next year's budget to make sure you're weaning yourself off of OTAs as much as possible. Even if in the short term that's a sacrifice on profit margins, you should be doing that now, because if you don't, you're going to be in big, big trouble.
Oh, I have a horrible idea that would be a good idea for a hotel that doesn't want to do that. So let's say you're just not going to, right?
Wait, I thought we were going to have shows with horrible ideas. What a great idea for a full show.
So let's say you're just not
what we do anyway.
You're just not going to invest, or maybe your owners won't, or whatever. The alternative you could do right now is, in your current negotiations, is allow yourself to be screwed now for pre-contracting preferential treatment in a downturned economy with the OTAs.
You could certainly do that.
So just accept the reality of
a hurricane bet.
Yeah, hurricane bet. Like, hey guys, listen, I have no chance to do anything, for whatever reason. So you know what? I'll let you screw me really bad right now when things are good. But I'm pre-negotiating that, when this threshold falls below this, you're going to drop my my commissions in half during that time period.
Yeah, it's like a hedge
You're
bet.
such an
Tim's
evil
saying he
genius.
thinks it's going to be
You
9
really
to
are.
20.
I mean,
Tim says it's going to be 9 to 24 months is his bet, and he argues that some markets are already in the space of LNG.
yeah, summer, and
Beginning to show
as we've discussed multiple times, I don't think it's going to be a lights out global situation.
But it will be
Unless-
for some hotels because they've got nothing. They don't have a backup plan. The OTAs were the backup plan. They don't have a backup plan.
Oh, they can just go Airbnb.
You make me laugh,
Hey,
Edward.
so I asked
Airbnb can say,
over
it's 3% instead of 15%. What a great
So-
deal. We'll
so
go
I
do
asked-
that.
I asked the hotels over here, their cancellation percentage for the OTAs is in the low 20s.
Yeah.
I don't. I'd like to know how and why. I mean, I didn't get a clean answer as to here. We're getting hammered in the States with massive cancellations.
I
in the
can tell
OTA
you
space.
exactly why.
Please.
Because the mix of brand versus independent in Europe is transverse of that in the US.
Okay.
There are more independent than brand in Europe.
Mhm.
Independent have the ability to kind of not do at scale things like that because they're not doing like I look at it this way. Like I use Priceline's opaque pricing. I game the heck out of that thing knowing I'm going to get an Intercontinental, a Marriott brand, or a Hilton brand that has no choice because a group backed out. They can't touch their rates at all on any of the channels because of brand standard, but they're going to dump it in the opaque model. Well, do you think that's the only place that the brands cause that type of issue? No. Brand standards at the scale they are today cause a lot of the weak points in our industry in the United States. That's why they only exist as problems in the United States. Go look at Asia Pac. Go look at the average commission Asia Pac pays to most of the wholesalers. It's a fraction. Why? Again, it's the lack of brand presence that is screwing it, that screws up this market.
Yeah.
Anyone want to disagree with me on that?
No, I think it contributes to it. I think
we'll disagree.
Yeah, but
I think there's a different consumer too, and a different mentality, and I think the American way of going and booking 5 rooms and canceling 4, 48 hours out isn't. I mean, it certainly isn't a thing that a British person would want to do. Like culturally speaking,
it's impolite.
Right? It's impolite, right? I think mainland Europe's a little different, but I think culturally there's a different mentality as well.
Yeah.
Yes, but Americans travel to Europe, and Europeans travel to America.
They do, but the majority of folks in Amsterdam are probably not Americans, and the majority of folks in New York are probably not Europeans. So it skews it.
Well, even when I told them how U.S. people tend to book, like you said, Stuart, book 7, cancel 6, they're like, really?
Yeah.
I'm like, They'll go over and
trained. They have been trained to do that.
Right.
There is
positive.
There is positive reinforcement by saving
a
ton of money. I mean, I think I said before, I went to the HTNG conference in New Orleans. I stayed at a Renaissance bar, price parity across the board, $249. I got for $97 a night on Hotwire. And I could tell which hotel it was, right? Because of the neighborhood. And Ed, I don't
play
think
the same game I do.
Well, no, and Hotwire, I don't think you're on when I mentioned this. Hotwire is now doing a very evil thing where, because they've integrated the opaque and the regular hotels, right, all together in one list, they're now giving the TripAdvisor, rating, so you get the number of circles plus the exact number of reviews. Yeah. So you go down the list and go,
I'm the one with the same type of things. Where if you actually pay attention, you can quickly understand. It's how my wife and I. So back in the easy old days, we had a ton of hotels in Rome, but I couldn't get at a friends and family rate. I couldn't get a rate better than €200 a night, just because it was a busy time that we were going. Went and played the Priceline game, $99 a night to stay at the Intercontinental at the top of the Spanish Steps.
Nice.
Yep.
Score.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, no, but I'll say this couple of things too. Now remember this is to Stuart's point. Over here, very few people use credit cards. They use chip cards. And a lot of the hotels require either deposit or some funding for booking. Not all of them, but there is sometimes this engagement of saying when you book, you're putting your
Yeah.
debit card into that relationship. And
Right.
to Stuart's point, it's just a cultural thing where they just don't see it as being, let me book 4 hotels that I decide. They tend to say, where do I want to stay? That's where I pick. That's what I book. And very rarely do they start changing their mind unless something dramatic happens or bad reviews or, they decide they want to buy suntan lotion on TripAdvisor rather than a hotel room because it's a great place to buy suntan lotion. So,
Yeah, but it is interesting. It is interesting.
Tim
It
put
is
up a great
cultural.
comment. Tim loves when Robert and I talk about how to save the hotel industry while also talking about how they take advantage of hoteliers.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sometimes conflicted with it. Sometimes I feel bad about it, but then I
hate
go,
the game, not
I
the
just
player.
saved. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Hey, wait a minute. I got to ask Tim. Tim, were you in Oslo? Are you in Oslo? Because I could have actually gone and seen you. Because as soon as I got done with my presentation, I said, hey, you want to fly out to Oslo to do the presentation? But I
Lauren,
couldn't arrange
he's
it.
not allowed to tell us that because it's
Oh,
under
that's
security
right.
clearance.
That's right.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah. Tim, knock twice on it with 2 little thumbs up if you're in there.
Yeah. Or just put the message, encrypt it, and post it here in the comments.
Yeah, use 4 letters, jumble them up. Oslo. How many times can you mess that up?
So-
also.
So, getting back to, because like Robert actually did a good job this week. Can we talk about how hospitality tech, can it keep travel hospitable?
Yes, that was a good one. That was a good one too. Yes,
It was a good one if it had talked about any of the tech that actually does that. Instead, it was like a checklist of what cool hip things can I twist into travel to get people interested. Like AI is the new blockchain to me.
It is, but it's more useful.
Yeah, it is, but
not if it's done. Not if you have crappy underlying data.
Right, for sure.
They do it, at least in the Google article, they talk about that when they talk about AI. So, okay, yes, I agree. AI is useful if your data is any good. So, therefore, AI is not useful for most hotels.
Hotels, right? Exactly.
And why is that? It's because the data is not good. And why is their data not good? The same reason most other problems exist in this industry: the property management systems.
Right.
Well, when I first was supposed to come here and speak at this thing that I did, they're like, well, we want to talk about the newest tech. And I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. I said, I'll talk about leading edge, not bleeding edge. Bleeding edge, you have no interest in. There's nothing there that you need to be worried about.
Nothing to see here.
Leading edge has been into space and does stuff, and usable is different.
Yeah.
Wow, Lauren, we have had an impact on you.
We have.
Yeah. I'm shocked right now. Speechless.
But that's when he got distracted by the holographic projector.
Right.
Squirrel! You need this in your lobby, everyone.
Anyway, I did have my 365.7K camera running and my recording of the presentation at the same time while we're doing a live broadcast. So I was trying to infuse a little bit of happiness of newsness for them. They were very impressed.
Sure.
Hey, did you do the trick where you ask everyone to pass their phone to the person next to them and freak
No.
everyone out?
I didn't go that far with them. No, I didn't want to raise it up. Yeah, but I was going to start the drone up, but I was like, nah, just my luck, it'd go crazy and crash into something that was like 500 years old.
Right. Yeah.
You guys want to talk about the influencer marketing statistics?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, that was the
still
segue
exist?
I tried to make us make at the beginning of the show when we were talking about the news, but we kind of took a left at Albuquerque.
I wanted to make sure no one was listening before I pulled it to something that mattered to me. That way I'm not seen as being, self-serving on this show. Now that no one could possibly be paying attention to us,
except for
talk about the things I care about.
Tim's listening.
I will say, so even though the name of the company that did this is Vamp, which, oh my gosh, like, my God, because like instantly, like it sucks the life out of the data. You see what I did there? Vamp, because it's vampires. So their data is correct. Micro-influencers will have better engagement than large networks, and it's very easy to understand why.
7x. So you left out the 7x part, which is
our data is close to that. It's not the same, so I can't confirm theirs,
Oh,
but their actual sentiment of the point they're making is correct, and it's easy to understand why. Every network is made up of like these layers, like an onion, and the good layers of a network are the ones that are built on trust.
Yeah.
So, someone who builds a gigantic network, it's impossible for a large amount of that audience to be that layer of trusted. Like, they know the person, they understand the person to a level that they see value in what that person says. Then there's, other slightly valuable layers, which is, they follow, they're part of that network because they dream to be in the situation that person's in, right? And that's still somewhat valuable from a branding perspective. And then there's just the like garbage layers. And I'm sorry, like, Robert, how big's your LinkedIn?
For my my LinkedIn group of people?
Gazillion.
Probably
a Google
about
of people.
2,000 or something like that.
What percentage or even hard number of that audience would you say knows you beyond 2 conversations in person?
Oh yeah, I would say that's probably in the 500-ish. I would say. Yeah.
Lauren, what are you? Couple thousand?
Let me tell you, I've got
I'm around 35.
I've got 3,000 that I haven't responded to, right? Because so many people, and I don't automatically follow, but most of these people I maybe met once or did something, but not the 2 conversation, high engagement type thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But
most of them I met or I've contacted directly.
3,500 plus, and I got to say that I probably have a higher number, around 1,500, that I would say I have had more than a couple of communications because of all the presentations I do. A lot of people engage me because
absolutely.
of,
and I'm not making the point that the core, the layer of value isn't there.
Gosh, no.
Yeah,
all the other ones are connections because of previous work environments.
Stuart,
people
how many
in the industry.
how big are LinkedIn?
I probably 1,000 to 2,000, and how many people are on this show? Probably 3 of them are people that I actually have a meaningful relationship with.
So if you look at this, Lauren is much more of a public figure than the others of us on this show because he's a road show presenting fool. So it makes sense that
he's the court jester.
A larger portion of his network would have that better core to it. But the thing that you need to understand is if Lauren started trying to care about the size of his network as one of his like key indicators, Lauren could easily take his network to 10, 15, 20,000. And here's the thing, the 1,500 number that he said is actually like really good may grow, but it's not going to grow at the same rate. Well, what do you think influencers have done? What do you think celebrities, like people who follow celebrities, yes, they have that secondary layer. It's not as strong as the trusted layer, but they have that layer of people who love them because they want to be them. But there's going to be just a ton of junk that pays very little mind to what that person thinks. And so this is where micro-influencers, everyone has influence. If I can get Robert to say something really nice about something, those 500 people are going to pay attention to it. So
Stuart's headset is outstanding.
Right.
Logitech.
Where did you
Amazon.com
Logitech?
Today. Yeah,
exactly. Use a special site to go get it for his.
Right. So the game here is getting people with trusted networks to every now and then, kind of say something good about you. The challenge has been that's not been what influencer marketing has been, and it's because that's hard. That's ask everyone to advocate for you. That's really hard to do well. That takes sophisticated marketing automation. That takes thoughtfulness and things like that. So of course, most marketers haven't done that. Most, except Flip2 customers.
That was the old SEO, old school SEO backlink type thing, right? If you could get, influential things. Hey, how do you get a piece of content on their site or something like that? Really meaningful, and it's just turned into spam. The number of people who send me crap saying we would love to write content for RockCheetah. It's like, give me a break.
Yeah, every day I get multiple ones.
Every day I get
wanting to put on the Fuel blog. It's crazy. Yeah, or be on the podcast or crazy stuff.
Well, crap.
Tim brings up he has 2,500 on LinkedIn and probably 10% are real connections. He also He also says you couldn't be more right, Ed, because of course that's kind of what Flip 2 does. But I
Right.
agree completely. So he's
Yeah.
agreeing
Right,
with us
I
on
mean,
that.
like this is the thing. Everyone has influence. Grandma with 7 followers has influence. And guess
That's a
what?
great case study. You have a
If you-
great case study
Thank
on
you.
grandma. It is.
Because here's the thing, all 7 followers care so deeply about grandma. And grandma doesn't post usually anything of value. So on a rare chance that you can get grandma to do it, those 7 followers are going to be all up in that. Guess what? If you can design the engagement to get those 7 followers to feel like they should share grandma's post to help grandma do something, all of a sudden grandma can have a trusted reach of a substantial number, tens of thousands
Yeah.
of people trusted.
Yeah.
And a total
Well,
reach of
Okay.
250,000,000.
So two things to this. One is that when I go over and do some conversations with the college kids to get them fired up as to their potential, I go over and tell them the average followings in Facebook are 300 people, and so if there's 20 people in the room, I have them all rattle off, how many people that follow them on different platforms and stuff, and we do a math on a board. And I said, now if those people had 300 people, okay, that's only 1 degree of separation from you. Now it's a multiplier of say 2 million or something like this. It grows up to. I said, let's cut that in half and say half the people don't care what you say. And then I said, but half the people would actually.
Well, you were
look at what
talking to
said.
college kids,
Now let's get,
so it's like 3/4.
yeah,
don't
college
care.
kids.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but to half is an easier math number because I'm talking to college kids. So, so I go over and I said, now that of the half that would actually listen to you, half would actually go over and pay attention past just seeing it. Let's cut that in half, and half of those people would actually act on what you said. And I bring it finally down to a point that I said, after dividing it up by like 6 times, I said we still have left more people than can fit in the freaking Dallas Cowboy Stadium that you can communicate with that would actually potentially react and act and spread and talk and do what it is that you're sharing. That's the power that sits in this room right now. And that's
depending on what you're sharing, because instead of those halves, you suddenly wind up, if you share really bad stuff,
you can squander, anybody can squander that kind of power. But I also brought this to George Washington University, and a girl raised her hand and she says, well, this doesn't seem very practical. So we brought it down to a very specific thing. In DC, they have a big thing about cupcakes. They're cupcake shops. For some reason, cupcakes is a big damn thing in DC. And so I said,
cupcakes are big.
Yeah. Where do people not care about cupcakes?
Well, good point on that one. But this one is like fanaticism, like line around the block for this place to open up for 50 cupcakes. But anyway, so there's this place and that she loves going to, and she says that sometimes they're dead. And I said, well, go to the thing and say this is a school test and find out when they're the deadest. And then try to get something from them that you will share to your social media, okay, that is saying, hey, go into this place and show them this thing, and they're going to give you something. And so she did, and the place filled up for those 2 hours. It was Thursday from 2 to 4. And it filled up because she showed the power of what she could do with social media. That was a lesson the class actually learned. It's like, my God, that's right. It does work. I have an audience of people, other than taking pictures of me eating a piece of pizza all the time, that's going to pay attention when I say, if you take this, you can get something for it. That was a hard lesson for her. She really enjoyed it. Really good.
If only an organization did something like that.
Yeah, Tim is being kind enough to quote from our Flip 2 blog on the mathematics of how this works for a hotel of 100 rooms with 1.4 guests per room each night. That's 31,000 guests per year. You put them to work. The number of reach you can get from that is millions.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I can attest to the fact that Flip 2 does a phenomenal job of driving advocacy through micro influencers, but that happen to be your existing guests. That's the way to do influencer marketing. It's not what it's turning into, and honestly, Lauren, you might be contributing to the problem a little bit because everyone's seeing this as a bright and shiny new thing. One, it's not new. It's been around for a long time. But two, it's now become another check point on the list of to-dos that a marketer has. We've got to get some influencers in, but they're not doing what Ed said, which is thinking through a strategy, picking the right partners, having a story to tell that makes sense. Your guest is the best influencer you have because they're authentic, they're peers to your prospective guests, and it's going to do the best job. I'm going to do a bit of a Tim Peter here. I'm going to go back in history and talk about a project we worked on years ago. Yeah, the time machine. We used to, before we went hospitality specific, we worked with a clothing brand called Southern Tide. And when we took them over, their annual revenue was $30,000. When they sold for $40 million to Oxford Industries, that entire business had been built on a single philosophy, which is influencer marketing. And what we did is we went to every major college in the entire US and found ambassadors to go and post about the product on social media. We gave them a bunch of swag, told them to do giveaways, told them to do affiliate stuff, get email addresses, and they built that empire completely on influencer marketing. And it's very, very effective, but you have to have a strategy.
Okay,
well,
imagine.
But we also need to put another little chink in that. It's incredibly hard to do that today the way you did it back then, because
there's a lot more
noise requirements.
Yeah.
Well, this is true. This is true. We might not have followed every regulation to the letter.
Well, you did back then because there was no law.
Yeah.
It was the Wild West.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so imagine having to go to Ed after having a heated discussion of how wrong he is and how right you are, only to have to go back and admit that he was right. That was what I just had to do about a month ago. Okay, so
Don't ever tell Ed he was right.
Fortunately,
no. This had nothing to do with Ed. This is just one of my team members.
Lauren Stewart and I have never had to do that because he's never been right in our conversation.
That's right.
This has nothing to do with Ed.
I either agree with Ed or Ed's wrong. There's no in between.
Yeah, that's right. No, I'm talking about the feeling that would create, that churning in your stomach kind of thing. So my teammate Tim, we went and ran 3 influencers through one of our hotels in New York, and I wanted to blow all the pictures out. We had a great contract with all these influencers. They were all different demographics that we wanted. We had a great contract breakdown of what we had for expectations and productivity and everything else. And I wanted to use all the stuff that they had done right away. And he says, dude, no. He says, these following, and it was about a third of the pictures and about a third of the content. Yeah. He says, we're not going to use this stuff right now. I said, come on, we paid for this thing. We got to show the client we got this. And I argued. I'm not a patient person. To me, it's like I see it, I got to do it. And so he says, just hang on to this stuff. So sure enough, and this happened a few months ago, it was like fall of last year, we're rolling into a whole new tide cycle right now with the same demographic profiles beginning to feature back up again. And we have this whole new great photo session and didn't have to push anybody into the space, didn't have to bring anybody into it. So I had to literally before I flew out here, I'm like, Tim, I'm sorry. You're right. You're smart. I'm dumb.
Well, but that depends on on the agreement you have with the influencer, right? Because some of them may say, "Oh no, you can only use it in this time frame." Mm-hmm. They have right, and if you can use all the B-roll stuff, right? If you own it, you can use it, and you're open. That's what you need to do. And again, smaller influencers are probably more open doing that than some large celebrity who's going to have complete control over.
There are content creators that are doing business under the influencer idea nowadays that back in the day would have just been a PR firm. Right. They would. Yeah. So there is also a difference in influencer, but at the same time, I'm going to say the same thing I always say. What you get out of it has to do with what your plan is and what you do with it. So just having someone take pictures for you and throwing it up on your site, that does nothing. You know what? I'll prove it to you. I'll send you 100,000 pictures and do nothing with it and tell me how much money you make off those 100,000 pictures. And yet, if you go to a lot of brands, that's what they're doing. They have these feeds on their site, these social feeds that they're actually paying a company to do, which, by the way, for free, you can display your own Instagram feed on your site. You do not need to pay a company to have architecture to do that. And yet, when you look at a lot of these brands that pay these companies that do aggregation, however, only approve their own content in the feed on their site, you're wasting money and you're doing nothing, right? You're doing nothing at all. What matters is what do you do to engage someone who cares about that content, and how do you conversationally get them into your funnel? That's where all the magic is. And I love and hate that we play in a world of UGC. I love it because hotels are starting to come to us because they visually see us on sites. I hate it because the initial reason they're calling us is so they can get pretty photos on their site. There's so much more opportunity in engaging people.
Well,
Ed, you know that from the last conversation.
but-
I called you from a thing I was doing a presentation at, and I'm like, dude, give me some bullets on the gun. They're comparing against this stupid this, because I'm sitting in a group of ownership decision makers that are talking about balancing between using Flip2 or using one of these generic UGC aggregators. I'm like, you do know you're not comparing the same things, right? You do know these are not the same things.
Yeah, it's crazy. And they don't get it. When I talk to folks that are in those UGC aggregator companies, they just don't get it like Flip2 does. They don't understand the real value is in engagement.
Well, first of all,
and nurturing.
Well, they don't want
relationships.
to.
get
It's
it
harder.
because
It's
if they
harder.
got it, they'd realize that what they're selling at an expensive price point is not doing anything for their customers. And to admit that would be problematic for their paycheck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and people ask me all the time, like, hey, does anyone ever use both a content aggregator and Flip2? Sure, until their content aggregator contract is up.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, no question. You absolutely can. We don't compete with them because they're a subset of a subset
What you
of our
do.
features. Right.
Yeah.
We are marketing automation with strategy out of the box. That is very different than a checkbox of, show a data feed of scraped content from social media, which, by the way, even that's a crappy engagement. Don't ask people on social to agree to terms and conditions. Like, engage them with a reason to want to come and share with you. Why? Because first of all, if they were dead in your database, they haven't responded to a single email blast that you've put out. A call to action that gets them re-engaged, first of all, gets them fresh back into your database, and you can feel good to keep talking to them. But secondly, get them to remember what was the best part of their experience with you. That's what this is all about, is reflecting, not, hey, really cool pic, dude. Can you just reply yes to after going to this link and seeing our terms and conditions on how we want to use your content?
Yeah, and not pay you, not compensate you for it, and
it's not about you; it's about us.
Yeah.
And that's the problem in marketing in general. Is marketing in general has become, over the years, it's just become too much about the business and not enough of a conversation. And
we ruin everything. I've said it before. We are the worst. We're worse than attorneys. Marketers are the worst scum of the earth. We break everything. We ruin it for everyone else.
I think that's changing though, Stuart, and you've seen it. You have to be better now because network growth has slowed.
Yep.
These boom years where you could be a crappy marketer and put up amazing statistics, that's over. So you have network slowing, plus government has started stepping in because you won't do the right thing.
They've had to. They've had to. Put on curfews and stuff.
And I love it.
Yeah,
I mean,
Tim talks about it a lot on his podcast. If you haven't checked out Tim Peters Thinks Out Loud, he talks about it a lot, how the bar has been raised tremendously with all the technology that's out there, and it's easy for anyone to market, but it's becoming harder for you to market well. And that's a good thing for the people that are listening to this show, because that tells me that they're willing to invest time and energy to do things the right way, not just check off a box. Hey, we got an influencer in last week. We'll move on to the next project. Let's figure out blockchain now.
Yeah, blockchain.
Well, to Ed's point, AI is turning into the new blockchain in the sense of buzz.
Well,
it's like,
actually, since Ed keeps bringing up blockchain, there was an article this morning that didn't make. I was going to put in just mess with Ed, but Facebook is releasing a coin, a global coin. They've been talking to the U.S. Treasury Department, all that thing, so you can
it
go.
It makes all the sense in the world for Facebook to do that.
Right.
It really
a
does.
Global of 28, or 2.8 billion people, kind of.
It's their
they should absolutely do it
before becoming their own nation of people who identify with themselves as Facebookians. And you laugh, they've gotten to that scale, and they have that much grip on a large portion of their audience.
Yeah. There's as many active users
even
on Facebook.
Tim agreed that's very smart for Facebook. I agree.
Yeah, it's really smart. There's as many active Facebook users as there are Christians on the planet.
But you know what? One thing that I'm noticing now more and more, especially with the news that I'm watching over here, as soon as things break out, like in Jakarta and so forth like this, one of the first things that is being done by the governments is they're shutting down social. It's now an active action item that goes on. Where before they were letting this underlying communication go forward because they didn't see it as a direct threat. Now they see social as a
if you're
very
in a
direct threat.
country that government shuts down social, you're not free.
Absolutely, that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's where they shut these things up.
Hey,
because
you
they
say
have
that,
lever to
man,
pull.
but you wait until it happens here. It's going to happen.
And you're not free.
Yeah.
If it happens here,
Right.
we're not free.
Well, we'll just get on the Elon Musk's new internet connectivity that he just launched 60 office-sized little satellites for.
I feel
Floated out
bad.
into space.
I feel bad for
Right.
Elon Musk because Elon
do?
Musk.
What?
Yeah, I absolutely do. You want to know why?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm calling it
Ooh.
now. His vision of what the future could be will have nothing to do with Tesla. It will be done by Ford. It will be done by Mercedes. It will be done by Volkswagen Group. And Tesla is probably going to fail. And it's sad because if it wasn't for Tesla and Elon Musk, we would be
Right,
nowhere
but
near
So you
where
should
we're
feel bad for
going.
him. I think he knows that because you've seen interviews with him where he said,
Yeah.
Tesla's a proof of concept. I want every manufacturer to do this.
Yeah.
I genuinely think a lot of what he's doing is to move humanity forward, not
And he
just
totally
put
has.
the line in his pocket.
Yep.
And to there, you shouldn't feel sorry for him. I mean, he's
Don't
probably
feel
had a
sorry.
bigger dent on the universe for humanity than anyone other
Feel
than
sorry
maybe
for-
Steve
yeah.
Jobs, in
right,
the last
let me
investors-
correct
years.
that.
Tesla
I
investors
feel
maybe
sorry
feel
for
bad, but
Tesla, late stage Tesla investors.
investors.
For sure.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Because
you should feel sorry for
I
him.
got-
Tesla's
gotta
got
say, though-
99 problems right now.
Well, one of them isn't selling cars over here because every taxi is mandated to be electric, and every taxi that pulled into the airport was Tesla,
Right.
and those things are still 100,000 euros over
But
here.
their big
Okay.
problem is Volkswagen Group and the German auto manufacturers in general have kind of created their own conglomerate to push
Yeah.
into this market. And guess what? Yeah, they're not playing the startup games. So, okay, the new Audi SUV that's coming out only has a 210-mile range. But it actually has a 210-mile range in every situation.
Yeah,
where-
not just-
Not Tesla Model S can get up to a 400-mile range with a 300-mile-an-hour wind behind it and low resistant rolling
When
rubber
you're
Downhill.
pushing
Yeah.
downhill.
and an optional solar panel installed in a trailer on the back with no climate control on.
yeah, exactly.
And so this is the problem Tesla is going to have, and this is the problem generally, I think, like for companies like Twitter. I'm going to say it now: Tesla, Twitter, Uber, they're all the same thing. They have been amazing for changing the way things work, but have no viable commercial path forward.
I'd agree with that. In the case of Twitter, maybe it gets acquired and becomes a feature of something.
Same thing with
Maybe.
Tesla. Same thing with Uber.
Yeah. Well, Uber, Uber.
They don't
I
have a
know.
viable path forward.
No, they don't, because Uber's business model is based on 100% autonomous vehicles, right? They've got to get the drivers.
Yeah, but
out
even
of the
that
loop.
is not. Just
And-
take a moment. They're kicking the can with that whole vision.
Oh, yeah.
Because here's the thing: who's going to make them?
Right.
Who's going to make these
Oh, no.
autonomous vehicles?
Right.
Because whoever makes them is going to go,
Exactly.
I can sell these to Uber and they make a ton of money off of them.
But
Or
Uber doesn't want to buy them necessarily. They just
Right.
want to get paid for the logistics, a big margin for the logistics, where you go,
Right.
wait a second,
So-
can someone else provide that
Right. So all they're
technology,
doing is
right?
kicking the can to say, don't look here, kids, look over here. But the
Yeah.
look over here thing is a worse idea than their current business.
Well,
because-
and they're big into trucking and things like that. It's all autonomous logistics, right? They're a logistics company. They always
But
have
they're
been,
not. They're
Right.
not. They're a company that's gotten to where they are by cheating and playing dirty.
Yeah.
And as soon as they have to feel pressure, which man, post IPO Uber, I'm calling it now.
Dara,
It's-
man,
It's TripAdvisor. I mean,
Dara got paid, but yeah, he's not. He's
oh,
got
listen,
a
Dara.
really
As
rough-
soon as the IPO hit, I'm like, man, that was the best move Dara ever made because you know what? Dara doesn't have to care anymore because Dara is a billionaire.
Oh, yeah.
So So anyways, just a little side note that not all disruptive companies have a viable path forward upon successful disruption. Twitter, Uber, Tesla.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that goes back to any of these things. There's always fun things you see as memes, even of transitional technologies, transitional fads. There's always this progressive stuff, and then you see something business genius wise where Apple destroyed its own product, with iPod and by moving into iPhone. That self-destructiveness. I mean, you see that Elon Musk, again, to your point about Tesla versus Elon Musk, where he's made more efforts and more changes to us as a society, as a culture, as a humanity than most people have, because he has the Boring Company. He's throwing up a network of satellites that, if successful in 10 years,
he sold flamethrowers. I mean, the guy is Tony Stark. I mean, I love the guy to death. Hey,
the fact you don't go flamethrower, what the hell?
We are in the end of Tesla. I'm going to call it's 5 years. Tesla's acquired
the culture
or bankrupt.
Right. Yeah.
Well, you and I had this discussion. There's people that make better cars, and they're going to get better at making better cars that are better than Tesla.
And there's better battery tech. At the edge of consumer, it's almost there. Solid state battery tech is going to be the end of Tesla, because Tesla's right now invested so much in producing batteries that the disruption of what happens with solid state battery tech, which, by the way, solid state batteries are safer. They have double the density inside the same container, and they last longer because they don't degrade due to the inherent flaw in lithium ion technology, which is the particles eventually build up. And once they touch the membrane, battery's done. That doesn't exist in solid state batteries. Solid state batteries are just a better use of resources. It's going to make cars, a Model S with a battery pack the same size, if it was a solid state battery, would have a 300-mile range.
Well, I mean, even just as I say, using my experience of being over here, solar power, wind power, the fact that certain vehicle classifications have to be electric driven only and so forth. From a hotelier's point of view, I mean, you have to consider that Tesla, in its battery making, made people believe you could put a battery in your home or a battery bank in your business and actually cut down your costs and not put bad things to happen to the earth by doing so. There is going to be a natural progression.
Buy a package of rare earth materials that have to be shipped from Africa to China to the U.S.
South America. Lithium comes from South America.
The rest of the compounds come from Africa. So, yes, it's listen, it's interesting. And I more said it just because we have been looking at new ideas and revolutionary ideas. You have to remember, not all new ideas are permanent.
And you hear me say this, not all new ideas are good to use.
Well, most
new ideas are just new ideas.
They're good to try.
That's it.
And whatever the idea, marketers will find a way to screw it up.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Or
we'll abuse
marketers who will travel will actually figure out what's good about it, and we'll do it right.
It's a secret. Don't tell anyone.
We'll outperform their peers.
We're hoping everyone else commits Harry-Carry and doesn't survive. So
I am going to say it has been refreshing. There have been quite a few calls I've been on the last month or two where people who previously were singing the praises of some of these really crappy businesses in our sector have actually started commenting about how annoyed they are that those businesses are still around and how they advise their hotels to stay away from businesses like that.
There's one you and I think agree on that was the poster child a couple of years ago. That's definitely turned
quiet, real quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Attribution theft is a real crime. I'm sorry.
One thing to consider too, coming up in 2.5 weeks, right? 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything that's really good? I mean, and for those who are not familiar with High Tech is like the industry technology conference in Minneapolis this year. It'll be joined as usual, ironically, badly since the past 3 years by HSMAI's Rock, which will cut it in half, bisect the entire event.
Completely destroys both shows
for a whole day. But with the high tech platform, and I think it's really going to be on the floor this year. What do you think is going to be the
All right,
thing
I
that
have one
dominates
thing
the
to say.
conversation?
If you're going
I have
to
a point of
high-tech-
contention.
Stuart
Go ahead.
asked this
Hold on,
question.
no. You want to let this happen. If you're going to high tech and you're a hotel and your mobile traffic has been outstripping your desktop traffic, but your mobile bookings have not outstripped your desktop bookings, you want to go to Fuel Travel to find out how you can get your mobile bookings to match your mobile traffic.
We've got 40 properties now, 40 that have more mobile bookings than desktop bookings.
But
That's
was that
Stuart
related to the
Zero.
Stuart Butler influencer campaign? Knowing, Stuart showing up at these 40 hotels.
Yeah.
That's funny. But no, we are exhibiting. I think we're 9 at. Let me check. 2090, I think, is our booth number. Let me check that in a sec. I'll put it in the show notes. But Lauren, I have a point of contention. I sent an email to you guys like 2 weeks ago saying we're doing a podcast episode on this very subject on what's going to be a disruptor at high tech, and Robert was nice enough to respond to me. Someone from Flip.
I did. I believe I did. I sent you only my camera idea. That was it. I didn't send you anything else. I feel bad. You're right. You're right. I need to be called out on it. I said I was going to say something, and I
was honest. I didn't respond to you because I didn't want to have you say something that wasn't true.
Yeah, but hey, Ricky did respond. So someone with sense from Flip 2 did.
All I did was give you the camera, the cool camera thing. I had. That was it.
But I did.
Are you going to spoil the?
Yeah, so we're actually recording that
episode.
Yeah, we're recording it today. So,
I'm still going to say I am still very excited about the Happy group. I really think they're now
in general is I think a lot of people are trying to get in that space, but they're
getting beyond concept. They've actually deployed really heavily with a brand. And the realization of what that has made possible for that brand has really taken hold. And I'll tell you what, like if you're a marketer and you care about GDPR, but don't want to go through the challenge of making sure all your marketing technologies are GDPR, like then you should make sure your IT team puts Happy in, because then they can tokenize they can give your email marketing platform aliased email addresses of your database. So that way you're not exposing that technology to actual consumer information. I'm still very bullish on them. And now I'm so happy to see that the deployments they've been getting and the companies that are talking to them now, they're going to beat everyone else. And their game is a little bit different than a lot of other tech in our space. Their game is as soon as they're in, like, good luck catching up.
Yeah.
Their challenge is going to be like everyone else's, is the integrations, and they're doing a good job getting in with the PMSs at this point, which I think that's a trend we're going to see at high tech this year. Is Maestro actually sent out an email earlier this week to all their partners and clients saying how they are really open to integrations and how they've revamped all their API, and that partnerships is a big focus for them, which is completely the opposite of what they've been doing for years, and Opera's finally getting to where they're opening up more, and it's a little easier. The barriers are a little lower than that used to be. You don't have to necessarily pay a big fat check up front, or at least not as high a check.
Hey, Stuart, you're saying good stuff. Is there a reason you shut off your camera?
Yeah, because I'm messing around with my screen, and I have to get really close to it to look. I was trying to look up our booth number.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say, you're saying great stuff, but we can't see you.
You don't need to see me. My face is there and still. But Springer Miller is another one who for years was a walled garden, but now, I mean, they've partnered with, full disclosure, they partnered with us in terms of their World NXT product line is all Fuel technology, but they're also integrating with other people. So I think the big guys, the big PMS companies are finally getting it that, hey, if we don't evolve, then we're going to be obsolete. Some of these up and coming guys are going to erode our market if we don't adapt.
Oh,
yes,
absolutely.
because here's the thing: it's not your data, PMS company.
Right. Anymore. It was.
No, it never was. Actually,
no, it
And
was
actually,
never
what's
their-
interesting is
Well,
I was
no, it
always
was never
wondering to
their data,
see-
but they
they
contractually
treated it
had
like it was theirs.
possession
Yeah.
is 9/10 of the law. Let's
Right.
put it that way. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. By the way, Lauren,
Yeah.
were you snapping to sound check or were you snapping at someone?
I was snapping because I'm trying to fix my mother-in-law's laptop, which is in Dutch, and I'm holding up my Google Translate trying to figure it out. And I finally got it where it recovered most enough to ask for a passcode. I'm like, what's the passcode? So I was asking for a little
If
assistance.
I ever
was
snapped at
distracted.
my wife or my mother-in-law, you would see legs drop kicking.
Yeah, exactly.
Mine was. I'm behind the closed door, so the only noise I could make was a snappy noise. Yeah, believe me, if I snapped and asked for something, life would not be good.
Yeah, it would be over.
Yep.
So, Stuart, what booth will Fuel?
2920. So
Nice.
not only will Fuel be there at booth 2920 showcasing our CRM, which does a lot of the data aggregation stuff that you're talking about, would be showing our mobile booking engine, which is kick-ass. And if you are using Synexus or iHotelier today and you want to get more mobile bookings, it's a good platform to at least consider. And most importantly, Mr. Lauren Gray is going to be in our booth a lot of the time and helping us do some live video interviews. So if you have an opinion about high tech, we might have a hologram. That's to be determined after the show. We're going to be researching that, but we might, just to make Lauren happy. I didn't look at the retail price on it yet, Lauren, so it might be a little pricey. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
$149.
Stuart went
Okay,
to that
that's not
site. He might be getting hair straightener instead. He's not
And a
sure.
cat.
So there are a couple other and a cat. Yeah.
yeah, definitely getting a cat. But we are going to be doing live videos and streaming those, and then cutting up some of the interviews and doing a post high tech kind of show as well about what people liked and didn't like about the show. Because really, the last two have been kind of, we're seeing some trends, but nothing really innovative coming out. Last year was big, was the push was on the data, like this data bus or data lake. People are calling it different things, but basically that
No one
what
outside of
Happy's doing.
hospitality calls it a data lake.
No, this is true. But like some kind of data
Enterprise
bus
service,
that
enterprise
everyone
service
connects
bus.
to.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. I think we'll see a lot of AI talked about this year, but I don't think we'll see a lot of really tangible application of it yet. Outside of booth 20,
AI?
29,
Will it
20.
be real
AI?
AI or will it
Listen,
just be
The
a
funniest things I've
program that
ever
says
heard.
if this then that?
Right.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
I can tell you that our CRM product, powered by Blue Shift, has real machine learning in it. It is legit, bona fide, predictive machine learning. It's great. So,
And as someone
there's
who has
some cases out
data level insight to his customers, I can tell you that they get a lot of money off of that platform.
there. Yeah, there's a lot of insight for sure that you can gain in leverage, right? So think about this. So our CRM, what you can do now is you can push in data from any source, whether it's the PMS, your web behavior, your advertising interaction, whatever it is, and then push that data back out to any of your marketing. So it can personalize your web experience. It can personalize your targeted ads on Facebook or Google. It can control your email messages, your text messages, your push notifications. It's pretty sick. And you can do it with using the machine learning. You can do it through like confidence building. So you can say, hey, I want to send out a message to anyone that's got a 50% chance or more of engaging with my content if I send it right now, or anyone that's 75% more likely to book in the next 24 hours, stuff like that. So it's heavily using real, not pretend, but real artificial intelligence. It's really cool.
It is.
Very cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Real
we'll be doing
artificial
demos
intelligence, that's-
at high tech. Yeah, it's fun.
I will remain skeptical until I see it live. No.
All right. Come by the booth at high tech.
I'm trying to get people by your booth, Stuart. That's what you
Yeah.
do, right?
Yeah.
So you got to come.
2920.
You got to see
Yeah.
it in person. So.
There's gonna be lines out the door just to get Lauren.
Tim
Gray
wrote a
autographs.
great point, which is AI will be a huge buzzword at high tech, and
Yep,
I'm curious
it
to
will.
see how many products will use legitimate machine learning, text analytics, deep learning, etc. Yeah, because here's the thing: a lot of stuff that I've seen that's AI is nothing more than just an algorithm.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. It's if
Hey,
then.
so
if then.
Stuart,
yeah.
so some tech follow up. That 360 camera I was jagging with last week. So it has an actual Google Street View function in it that what you do, you can actually just send up to Google Street right off the top. which is really cool. That's a nice little shortcut. And the other thing is its compression is it's crazy sick. And I thought if we put it on a nice little flex pole, we could do a live 360 broadcast from yours looking over the whole floor, because it only has to go up another 4 or 5 foot, and it'll see the whole floor as if you're above the whole floor.
Let's do it, man. I'm gonna wear it on the stick that comes up my back and just walk the whole floor. Great.
What's its Zoom? Its Zoom capability does it have high, really high def directional microphones? Is that anything like that?
The microphones aren't too high def directional, but it's got some wicked 5.7K resolution. It's got plenty of resolution.
Robert wants to do some spying on the competition.
No, I'm just trying to see if Lauren can rent it. Can rent it out.
I just have to buy one of those big dishes that you see on the side of the NFL football fields. Audio.
Yeah.
Anyway,
just one question. So Lauren's going to be in your booth in Minneapolis. So the restraining order from the last High Tech in 2013, those have lapsed. 5 years. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and a few extra, a few charitable donations to miscellaneous personal accounts.
That's right. Yeah.
Next thing you know, some amends were made, and they let me come back.
Time served. That's good.
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
Good behavior.
I wasn't aware of that. So okay. Good.
Well, but Robert, is Bob going to let you into Rock this year?
I'm not going to Rock. They didn't ask me to speak, so no. I'm
not
going to get lured near the entrance either. Lauren, I waited outside, and I was there were a group of 3 people making sure I didn't enter the cocktail reception, which I really did not want to enter. I was just literally waiting for Lauren, who was about 20 minutes late at that point.
Which is early for Lauren.
That's true. I know.
We haven't even hit the 30-minute mark for me to be worried about it.
Yeah,
hey,
exactly.
Ed, what do you think about Rock being at the same time as High Tech?
Yeah. What do you think, Ed?
Well, first of all, Rock was awesome when it was the evening before High Tech trade show floor. It was amazing because you had everyone coming in early to do the board meetings, trainings, and things like that. They would do Rock, and then they would
Tuesday.
come. Yep. And then on Wednesday, they would come hit High Tech. Wednesday night, they'd do a High Tech series of events, and then they'd leave out mid to late day Thursday.
Right. Perfect.
So you had all of that audience coming in and doing both events and like present and learning and doing all that. Those were the golden days of both trade shows. Since then, they've moved it to the middle. So, it completely destroyed both because you have people trying to do meetings at both events concurrently, which means there's no more any free time. There's no one like going and just trying to be available to see what's what. They're not hanging out anymore. They're all scooting out immediately after Rock wraps up. It completely destroyed. It made it so as a vendor that counted on both audiences.
Which audience? Yeah, which audience do you
want?
Or
you had to basically be an exhibitor at both, right?
Well,
also,
but I always was.
Oh, that's true. When you seek,
but you had to have the
simultaneously,
right people simultaneously. You had to split your people in half, basically. And it was a horrible move. I told both of them how I felt. I have not given either of them a dime of my money since they've done it, and I will continue to not do that.
Oh, and actually Rock is now 2 days, right? Isn't it?
Right. Yep.
Yeah. So they've expanded it. So that's going to, so is it Wednesday? Yeah. It's Wednesday, or is it Tuesday, Wednesday? They're doing some things on, or the kickoff on Tuesday and Wednesday? I don't know. I'm not going. So Tim says he's speaking at Rock in the 2020 session at the end of the last day. So that's maybe a reason to come
hang out at our booth at High Tech.
Yeah. Well, and what I saw was, and when I was going to Rock before doing both, and when it was on a Wednesday, I mean Thursday was the only time I could maybe get into the exhibit hall, and I was literally going up and down the aisles just to see what the heck was there, and there weren't meetings. Yeah, and you're kind of going, oh, that looks kind of interesting. I'll have to go give them a call or go, hey, do you have a card? I'll get back to you. Do you have time to talk? No.
Yep.
And on, which was completely worthless. And then when I got back, I got caught up, and I maybe caught up with 1 or 2, maybe. The rest were just, complete loss.
See,
right?
you have a much more different strategy than me. Mine is, hey, that's a neat little Chosky squishy toy. Does it come in blue? Can I have 5 of them? Thank you, Scoop. Hey, that's a neat Chosky toy. Does it come in blue? Great. I got 5, Scoop. Obviously, we have different purposes while we're at this
Lauren
conference.
goes for the swag every
Yeah.
time.
Exactly.
Hey, speaking of
Every
swag,
time.
so we don't give away Chotskis, but we usually try to give something valuable. So we are giving away. It'll be the first time this is publicly available, but we've done another leisure travel study,
Oof.
and I shared with a couple of you guys some of the data
doozy.
points. Dude, there's some crazy data. So we poll every year. We'll poll leisure travelers, and the caveat is they've made a 5-night or longer vacation in the last 5
Ooh.
years, and then we ask them that, how many vacations they've had, how they book, all this other stuff. So one of the questions we asked this year, and the numbers dropped a little bit, Ed, but we asked the question to everyone, including regardless of how they booked, whether they booked through the hotel website or through an OTA. We said, did you visit the hotel website before making your booking? Right. So a very simple question. We primed it. Any guesses what percentage of people did visit the hotel website?
70.
You said it dropped a bit.
It did drop a little bit.
76%.
Didn't drop that much.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
God.
it's
79,
floating right around 80%. So 79 point something percent.
So it
Of
barely
all
dropped.
people, regardless of how they book,
Right.
visit the
Yep.
hotel website before they make a booking. Now
Yeah.
think about that. Like if
Well,
you're
no,
sitting there as a hotel
actually,
that has
here's
high
what-
percentage reliance on OTAs, that's
You
crazy.
can use another data point at this to show you what you're doing wrong. If we all remember the network effect is dead, how many years ago did
Yeah.
that officially happen? That getting bookings from people who learned about you on OTAs, that is dead trackably.
Oh, the billboard effect.
Billboard effect, yes.
Yeah.
So the billboard effect is dead, and yet the consumer is telling you that 80% of the time they're coming to the hotel site. That just means the OTA has done a much better job at making sure they pull them back and convert them.
Absolutely.
And the hotels have done such a poor job of taking advantage of opportunity that's what killed the billboard effect. The consumer didn't change. The consumer always did this. We used to know about it. You used to see the bleed over of the impact.
Yeah.
So that's what's amazing to me is that is still happening. Stuart, like I can't wait to see the results of this year. You guys always do such a great job on this. And tell them how you came about doing this question, because that's even more interesting.
So that wasn't an original question. We were looking at the data. We fielded the study and they start coming in, and we had about 300 responses, and we're looking through the data, and I'm seeing just odd stuff about some of the write-ins. And we were asking a question. It was about the OTAs. We're specifically in a section talking about OTAs, and it was I forget the specific one. It may have been, how did you which of these sites did you use during the research phase? And it was, we went from Airbnb and Expedia and Orbitz, and we went through everyone we could think of, and then we had write-in. And out of the first 300 or so responses, we had a ton of write-ins for hotel website. So we're like, well, shit, we need to put that as a question. I mean, obviously, clearly, we should have done it already, but in mid-flow, we'd already started sampling, and it was about 300.
So Stuart,
we
you're
ended up
telling
with
me
about 3,000 responses, so we still got a lot of data on that one question. But 80%
you're telling me
of
you don't just finish the questionnaire and blast it out to everyone?
no,
Wow.
because we test and optimize everything we do.
But wait, but you were done. You finished writing.
We could have checked off the
questionnaire,
to-do list
right?
item,
Yeah.
right? But no, we tried to learn and optimize. That's why we're good at what we do. But
That's fascinating. Learning from the question. Wow.
I know, isn't that crazy? So looking at the first couple of hundred, we got an insight. There was a couple of other questions we added after the first few as well. But that was one. And honestly, I think that 80% number is probably going to be the biggest takeaway from this whole study. And it's one we wouldn't have had we not, been monitoring it real time as we sent it out. So
Can you
lesson
imagine?
there for everyone.
Our industry would be stupid if it wasn't for people actually going through and testing and fine-tuning.
Yeah,
Good-
you got to
good
always be testing.
Always. ABT.
That's Melissa's catchphrase. We talked about getting T-shirts in here which say ABT because Melissa says it all the time on the podcast.
By the way, if you
what?
haven't taken the time to listen to Stuart's podcast this year, they're on point, man. I mean, I was a random listener last year, but I had to take a very long drive, and it's not football season, so I had nothing to listen to on the ride. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to listen to the last
UCF propaganda to listen to.
Right. So I had to listen to the last 5 episodes of the Fuel podcast. And man, you guys have got that thing down to a science. First of all, it's far more focused than this show. I'm really
name anything that is less focused than this show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I rest my case.
Pick one. Come on.
Kindergarten class is more focused than this.
Fair enough. Okay. But
So the new tagline for the podcast is: if you have absolutely nothing else to do,
and it's not
listen to
football
the Fuel
season.
podcast. And it's not football season. Listen to the Fuel
Listen to it.
podcast. Okay.
yeah, I mean,
Voted one by one out of one survey.
Well, and
as
here's the
best
thing,
podcast when there's no football
I
season.
listened to the last 5 episodes because I wanted to hear consistently, like what were they working on, how repetitive were they. I had nothing to do for hours. And I will say, it's interesting. They also got their first negative review inside that time period.
Mm-hmm. We did.
Oh.
Yeah.
But then we got, which was really funny because we got one that was kind of critical that we hadn't changed too much, and then the next review, because we read out reviews on the show and then I guess people see them, the next review was like a counter to the previous review. So we had a loyal listener that went in and was like, do not change anything.
Well, I was thinking the same thing is, of course nothing's changed because
Yeah.
nothing has changed in the industry.
But we've evolved a little bit.
Actually, hey, Stuart, you should get some buttons or something. At least get some buttons. Sticker Mule has some on sale right now. Get and do do the testing acronym, the whole thing. Just hand them out.
ABT.
I think people would eat them up.
ABT, and then at Fueligans.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Hashtag
Yeah, if
fuel.
you just do
I'm a
ABT,
feeling because I get ABT. Yeah.
ABT though is also American Ballet Theater. So I don't know. Maybe
Yeah,
I
that-
can see the confusion.
Or you can get
really.
the,
For all the
like-
people showing up, that would be a huge.
Like,
yeah,
since
put that
no one
together.
cares about copyright laws or anything. You could make T-shirts of the Jackson 5 and have it be ABT, easy as 1, 2,
Instead of
3.
That's funny.
Oh.
Nice.
You and me, baby, you and me.
Well, I owe Ed some royalty checks after today, man. He's been very complimentary. of
Yeah.
Appreciate
Well,
it.
listen,
Wow.
as soon as you start doing stupid things again, I'll point it out. But you guys have had a good year.
This is true. To be fair, Ed is honest all the time. So
All
when you're
the
bad,
time.
you're bad. And when you're good, you're good.
And I'm the
That's
first to point out when you do something wrong because
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sadistic that way. So
Well,
funny.
at that point, we better finish up with the rut row so we can call it a day on that one.
yes,
Let's do the
So-
rut row.
So, a nice little study, social media today, and I don't know who ran the original, so the article, at least though, basically, has the data on, hey, guess what? People believe false stories more than real ones, and the problem is, misinformation sees significantly more engagement than real news on Facebook, and it's because that's what it's designed for. I mean,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
so
that's the design of
affirmational
Facebook. The whole
First of all-
algorithm is based on what's shared, and it's
Right.
going to be sensational, weird, whatever stuff is going to get or what people like or want to hear. They're
Right.
going to share. So it's the design, folks.
well, but here's the other problem: most news is not news; it's opinion. Like we've
Yeah.
gone away from actual
Yeah.
reporting of this
Right.
happened. This party says this party says that.
It's just-
Those
right.
are the facts. It's gone to here's what I think. Here's
Right.
my telling of what happened.
Here's the spin.
Or here's what you
exactly.
should think.
This is
Or
what,
he-
this is
yeah.
what we're hearing. This is
Right.
what such and such.
Right.
Yeah.
So-
There's a lot of that.
So first of all, 90% of news is
Right.
misleading in some
Well,
way.
certainly all the times that people watch, I mean, between CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, that whole prime time, slot, those 3 hours or whatever, are all opinion, right? It's entertainment television.
What's hilarious
like,
is have I shared
but
with
it's
you
never.
guys
But there's no
billboard-
signaling of that, right?
the billboard
Which
in
is-
Orlando that like totally cracked me up at how sad things have become, but also how stupid people are. It's a Fox News billboard on I-4 in Orlando, so super expensive billboard,
Yeah.
and it's Fox News opinions done right.
If you agree with us.
If you
So,
agree with
friends-
this,
No, Hold on. It's their opinion that their opinions are right.
Opinion is right.
It's so
Yeah,
meta.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Layered for sure.
Yeah.
It's so
We have-
layered. And
Yeah,
such a slap in the face.
7 out of 8 of our talking heads here agree with us. So yeah. It's got to be right.
So yes,
Well-
yes, when you can design the news, then yes, it travels further. People find it more appealing because people just want to hear what they want to hear.
Right.
Like, oh, you
Right.
agree with me. You agree with me
Yeah.
on something that I don't talk about because I'm not allowed to talk about because it's not
Right.
PC. Like that whole human.
Yeah. But we all
It's
understand the
difficult.
problem, right? But I think we're in a very precarious situation because there's one thing for the media, because we're all very tribal and we stick to the echo chamber that most relates to us. Very few people are going to say, hey, I'm very right wing. I'm going to go watch MSNBC because I want counter programming and I want to understand the other side. That's not what people do, right? They're right wing. They tend to watch Fox News,
Right.
et cetera. So, but that's the media when we're dealing with the social side of it and the influence that it's had. And
Yeah.
think what you want about the election, right? There's no question at this point that there was a lot of misinformation being spread on both sides and by third parties.
And one side just did it better.
Right. And someone won that battle. And whether or not that had an influence on the outcome, I think you could
It did.
debate. But and I think you're going to have opinions on that based on what they were influenced by along the way and where their preconceptions are. The problem is that I think that the conversation needs to shift towards one of what Facebook, what Twitter, what Google should be doing to try to prevent this from cascading out of hand.
To keep their platforms from being
But
weaponized.
They're being
right?
hijacked. Yeah, they're being
you also have to
weaponized.
this is a really tough topic. This is not
It
black
is,
or white
It
because,
is because you can't censor, right?
right. If
and-
you censor, then that's
But
free
they are,
speech.
right? But there lies the problem because they're already deciding what to censor. You look at the anti-vaxxer stuff now, whether you
Yeah.
agree with that or not, whether it's doing more harm than good or not, they've drawn a line in the sand that they cannot go back, And we see the crazy people out there. We see people propagating flat Earth and other stuff that I personally
What do you
don't
mean
necessarily agree with.
crazy flat Earth?
Right, but the point is, everyone's got an opinion, right? And everyone's got something that's serious to someone is crazy to someone else. But the social media channels haven't done anything to differentiate that kind of content. And I think
Right.
time is now that they have to.
Well-
and you look at what
Well, they
Google
need to
did,
find a
search
way
engines
to
did.
market.
Right. So what search engines did back in the day, because before they started looking at inbound links, they were just content is content and popular content is popular content. And if it matches certain ratios, then they started using the link as a proxy for a vote of confidence or an authority signal, right? And now it's gone beyond that. They're looking at other stuff like social signals. The social media channels have to come up with some kind of authority signaling, whether that's some kind of independent body that has to authenticate contributors, whether that people have to meet certain standards, whatever it is. But if social media doesn't do that and just allows anyone to have a platform, I mean, I can see governments getting involved to where social
will.
media gets banned, and that's not
Which
a good
is
thing for anyone.
Insane. And why it's insane is like, first of all, if you're watching this, always check multiple sources before sharing
On
anything.
both sides of the aisle, right?
And-
Especially in the U.S.
No, on anything. Just on anything. If you
everywhere,
don't
yeah.
want to be stupid, check
I understand that.
multiple sources on a topic before coming to a decision. Okay?
Right.
But don't just go. What I'm saying is, don't just go Google it and read the top 5. Right? Know who the counter programming is to that original article and look at their version of it.
Right.
The truth's somewhere in the middle.
somewhere.
But I think
Well-
you've got to understand what the extremes are to try to formulate.
Well, and the
some sense
problem
out of it.
is most of the questions, the question may not be phrased properly, and second, the answer is probably nuanced and has some sort of complexity to it. Right?
Wait.
Which
Hold on,
flies-
Robert. You're telling me that we can't boil everything to either black or white?
Yeah, to 100. Well, now it's 280
Left or right?
characters, right? Yeah,
Like we
exactly.
can't. Wait, no. Everything
Everything's
can be
on or
boiled
off,
down.
right or wrong. No,
Exactly.
There's,
Yeah.
there's two states of everything. That's it.
That's it.
Well,
They're-
and the equivalents. If you are part of Team A, right, you hate Team B, right?
Mhm.
And
Well, you
that's-
have to.
that's the- you
They're
have to.
rivals.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
as a UCF football fan, that is. And
you hate me because you hate me. Isn't that how it goes?
Gentlemen, I actually have to leave.
Oh.
Dinner is ready, so I'm going to run
Okay.
off into a dinner. So if you guys
Oh,
can do the
okay.
closing wrap up and tell people where to find the video, I'm going to go eat some cool rice truffle.
You got it, Lauren.
Where can-
Thanks for
where
joining us. We'll tell them where they can find Lauren.
That's a great.
What?
Oh, whoops. You
Lauren,
sorry.
oh, sorry, you're still here. Lauren, if people
I
want to
know.
find you, if you don't want us to tell them where to find you, where should they look?
HospitalityDigitalMarketing.com/live. That's where you can find the show for Live 9, previous 197. But I'm going to go. You're breaking up,
Lauren,
and I'm going to go.
thank you.
So I'll let
Enjoy
you
your
close.
food. I think we
Bye,
made him
guys.
too uncomfortable with the political talk.
I think so. We
That's right.
we
No.
His-
I just want to go eat. I just
Yeah.
want to
Go
get
eat.
some dinner.
Actually,
We see how
his
it's
wife.
more important than your friendship.
yeah, we
There
get
we
it.
go.
Exactly. His
Um,
wife and his in-laws are pretty smart. They said, "Everyone start watching Netflix." So, yeah.
Netflix and
Screw up
Phil.
his connection. Exactly.
Um,
Actually, one thing I was going to add on the Facebook thing, I posted the link in the in the comments here. Facebook removed 3.4 billion fake accounts in 6 months. There are only 2.8 billion users of Facebook, right? So all those accounts, what Facebook is doing is picking those. These are ones that have been picked off before they were created. So yeah, this is now that's a whole nother Facebook.
so could you imagine if hotel brand loyalty programs did the same thing?
I choked on my water. Yeah. Yeah, loyalty by Fiverr.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, had
yeah.
to throw that in there. Fake news.
And the problem with the hotel brand loyalty, I mean, call out Marriott. They
Bonvoy.
seem to have added Bonvoy seemed to have added the Marriott Rewards member total members plus the Starwood members together. So I guess there wasn't any overlap. So that must have been a brilliant
overlap
acquisition.
whatsoever.
Yeah, they just got
It's
incremental
amazing.
people. What an incredibly smart move. Yeah.
And yet somehow
So-
it didn't make them the most valuable conglomerate of brands.
No.
A
for some
hotel
reason,
company
yeah.
half their size beat
Yeah.
them.
Yep.
It's weird.
Yeah, Hilton beat them out. So yeah,
Yeah.
it is interesting. So
I would love if
Anyway.
that research for the brand value, the hotel brand value, would actually include Expedia and Booking.com.
oof, yeah.
Just
Yeah.
as a little reality of where would they stand in brand value.
Yeah. Yep. It's
But we don't
it's pretty high.
we don't like to talk about things that make us sad. Fake news us, baby.
Yep.
Fake news us.
Yeah.
Um,
That's right. That'll be the new claim. Fake news.
The
Fake
big
news.
problem has been for all of you is like recently, lots of stuff for a long time that I've been saying is bad is like turning out to be bad. So I'm like so emboldened these days by like the I told you so.
Well, to be
Uh,
fair though, like all things being equal, one, you say a lot of things are going to turn out to be bad, and two, over time humans tend to screw stuff up, and they
Stop giving
become
away my secrets,
Yeah.
Stuart.
So you throw enough out there, you're going to get some right. So you're right about TripAdvisor. I'll give you that.
TripAdvisor. I used to be very impressed by Coffer being able to pivot that company and do
Yeah,
interesting
They
things.
did it several
But
times.
it's the weight of Wall Street is just ever since
It
Expedia
kills a lot
spun
of
it.
companies.
yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
it's killed
Microsoft
Starwood.
Microsoft is a tiny company compared to Apple because of Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Because
well, and
Steve
federal
Jobs-
regulation.
Steve Jobs didn't give a about Wall Street, and Bezos has proven that he will not be pushed by Wall Street. That's why those companies
worked out pretty well for me. And you'd think other people should follow suit, right?
To be fair, it didn't work out
hard to
poorly
do.
for Bill Gates. It's just
That's true.
Yeah.
Microsoft isn't what it had the opportunity to be. IBM isn't what it had the opportunity to be.
Well, but that was because of Microsoft and Gates' dad, who was a big corporate lawyer, who said, try to keep your IP. See what they say. They probably won't go. And IBM didn't care about the IP on the operating system. And what do you know? So they created.
Remember,
they created
used to be labeled as IBM compatible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now 71% of all students coming out of college prefer Apple over
absolutely
alternatives.
Yeah, I know, and I've used the case study subject of one. My daughter graduating from high school, going to college. I was going to get her the college maintained standard Lenovo, which her older sister used.
And Lenovo's
which was fine.
Great pieces of hardware.
Yeah, they're reliable. If something goes wrong, I kind of understand, but I want someone, the university to be able to swap it out or her to take it in someplace because they're, 5 hours away. Worked great for her older sister. Her older sister, when she got her, her master's degree, got the new MacBook Pro. That was my younger daughter wanted one of those, right? She paid her own money. She paid, instead of free, she paid $1,700 to get this. And you go, that's crazy. That is brand loyalty. Right? I mean, she has the latest AirPod. She has all that stuff. She pays for it all. So, and it's like, okay, that's
why
fine if that's important to you.
and this is the thing, like that is why everyone is struggling to market to the younger generation, because they don't understand that the brand loyalty didn't just come from marketing. It was everything. It was the experience.
It's the emotional connection of that. That brand says something, it reflects on you and how you.
And it's completely changed the share of wallet that generation will give to other things. They will go and eat less to have AirPods or to have the newest. What is Google's new phone? The Pixel. Whatever they've picked, it's almost like a religion to them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, well
because it's an accessory, because it's not just a utility that they're using. It's now something that's visible on their social media.
It's part
accounts.
of their identity.
It's part of their identity, right?
Yeah. Well, and if it's interesting, my younger
part
daughter,
of their tribe, right? They become a tribe. It's just like we were talking about before.
That's loyalty,
right?
Like real loyalty allows you to charge a premium. For what you do, not buy people through discounting.
Right. That's transactional. That's nothing to do. That's The hotel programs are transactional because they are discounts and rewards. They are not. Yeah, they have nothing to do. It's gamification, not loyalty. The interesting thing, though, again, my younger daughter, they have these guys who pick up tutorials, right? Really hot for Gen whatever after millennials. Actually, they're calling them Gen Alpha now. So I guess,
Gen Z and then Gen Alpha, right?
Yeah,
right. So anyway, but these guys are doing these makeup tutorials and there was this big blow up earlier this week because this guy who's very, very popular, he was doing like a tour of cities where, kind of like a concert thing for a makeup guy, right? Who's just going, I'm going to go do this stuff. Really amazing. Came out and said he didn't, some other influencer, he didn't want to promote her line of vitamins or health products because he didn't think that was right and just didn't want to. Well, then whatever X period of time later, he goes out and does it with another company who probably offered him a large check, right? And the other influencer called him out. The guy lost $3 million viewer. I mean, having this very public war of influencers who were friends, and I don't know how it's turned out. There was all this drama, and now
There
they've
is
made
no
it.
friends
But
and fame. I'm sorry.
well, yeah, but this guy lost 3 million people because this person came out and said, "Hey, I'm calling you out on really being hypocritical about this thing, and it hurt my feeling." And just crazy. But and I'm asking my daughter about it. She just goes, I don't know, this is a tough decision, right?
Yep.
Her brand, this guy that she loved and watched every one of his videos coming out, is like, I don't know if I should do that. Conflicted and
that
crazy,
goes back
right?
to what Ed was saying about everything's polarized, everything's ones and zeros, everything's black and white.
Yep.
And
Absolutely. If you're on Team A, you can't be on Team B.
You can't be on Team B. Yeah, and that's just becoming more and more polarized by the second. But social media, Facebook has a responsibility to fix that problem.
I agree.
They really do.
But they don't want to limit. They don't want to reduce their revenues and their profitability.
No, it's not just that. Let's not oversimplify the challenge to do that.
But it's just fix it. Press the button. Make it happen. See, we're doing what we're accusing everyone else of being guilty of. We're oversimplifying.
Yeah, but my prediction, the outcome.
Let me oversimplify.
My prediction, the outcome. Oh, go ahead. Okay.
We're going to put Snopes at the bottom of every single post.
There you go.
Exactly. Until somebody buys Snopes for
someone already has, and Snopes has already been shown to actually start slanting.
Oh, have they? Who bought Snopes?
I don't know who owns it now, but it's changed hands, and there's now a political slant to.
So how genius is that, right? Because it's always been viewed as that like independent.
It used to be my favorite thing to do. My favorite way of trolling people was the Snopes article that showed that you're literally sharing something stupid. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Anyway, my prediction for Facebook. Quick prediction on Facebook. I don't think they will get legislated in the social media area because it's just too hard, right? I mean, they're just no. I mean, maybe something will come up and it'll just be completely. But I bet this whole thing results in they've got to sell WhatsApp and Instagram. I bet they get broken up.
No, I guarantee you that won't happen. And here's why.
You don't think so?
The argument on why Facebook should do that also creates the argument on why Amazon and Google both need to be broken up. It's the same problem. And breaking it up ruins the user experience. It really does.
Right.
So you can't break up Facebook without breaking up Amazon, Google.
Right.
Yep. And that's my theory of what will wind up happening. These guys are getting too big, and they're going to.
Don't understand.
It won't fix
the
problem in Europe, but it won't happen in the U.S. because the Monopoly Commission here doesn't really care about how big you are. It cares about what impact you're having on consumer. And
right.
I don't think splitting them up changes that really.
I think there's enough outrage, especially at Facebook is the best thing that ever happened to Google, because Larry and Sergey can go, we're doing this stuff, hey, look over there, right? Where it's a real
where
shit
the focus
show.
Is for sure.
Well, and here's the thing, they have so much more money than everyone else that whatever does happen, it happened because they were okay with it.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It's a new scale of money. Apple, Facebook, Google, and Amazon. That is a new scale of wealth. I mean, Apple is still sitting on more cash than countries have in their federal reserves.
Absolutely.
So,
and just wait till
anything that happens because Apple was okay with it.
Yeah.
When Facebook gets a currency.
I think everybody should watch the last season of Mr. Robot is coming up. So you can see what the future is going to hold, right?
My gosh, for real. By the way, just because I'm in the mood to promote things that have nothing to do with anything, if you have not already watched The Marvelous Miss Maisel, it's one of the better shows out there right now.
We started it. The first season was a little. Everyone has told me the first season was a little kind of nah, and then
the second season hits its stride. My gosh,
we had a problem. I got about halfway through the first season, explained that, and she was just like, nah, not quite. So I don't know. We might have to go try that. Yeah,
it's pretty good, Stuart. You'd like it.
Yeah, I'm not. I told you, I'm not starting any new shows unless they're already finished. Refuse to do it.
They're done.
Been burned too many times.
Yeah, but they're done 2 seasons.
Until the whole series is done, I'm not starting any new show.
Oh, really? Have you watched any of Mr. Robot? Anybody?
Are you
Yeah,
watching,
actually, that's one I'd already started, so I'm caught up on Mr. Robot.
Are you
Oh, yeah,
watching?
Mr.
Did you watch Game of Thrones, Stuart?
Yeah, of course. And that,
And
See,
are you
that-
now
that
very
right
sad?
there-
Whoa!
No,
It
listen.
just finished.
right, I'm not going to spoil anything, but that right there, I didn't have a problem with the last season. But the internet and social media especially, and it was more Twitter than Facebook in this case,
Yeah.
sensationalized the divide so much, and the media picked up on it, and it exacerbated a problem that there would probably be a few people that were a little unhappy, just like they were when Lost finished, when The Sopranos finished, when
Yeah.
Right.
every major popular show finished. There's going to be a minority of people that are very
But Stuart,
dissatisfied. I
But
was with
weren't there
Lost.
some
think-
interesting
But
characters?
now
you
it's
think-
like, oh, we need a reboot. HBO betrayed us. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
and
ridiculous.
HBO's going, yes, please.
Yeah.
Please keep this
Ridiculous.
going because we've broken every viewership record
Yeah,
that's existed,
right.
and it's made us more money than we made from
Right.
1981 to 1986.
But it's not healthy for society, and that's what pisses me off. And I spend a
No.
lot of time watching. I'm like a nerd, right? When it comes to Marvel
No
movies,
way.
Star Wars, and stuff I
Don't
get
come
into,
off
like
that
Game
way
of
at
Thrones.
all.
Yeah.
I went and watched a ton of YouTube videos, like dissecting the last season, and I saw a bunch on one side of the fence saying, "Here's all the choices they made and why it fits with the characters," and then others saying, "You betrayed us, Benioff and Weiss, and here's why." The
Yeah.
thing is that they're not that dissimilar in what they're saying. They're just interpretation of the facts
How
are
they felt
completely
about it.
different. It's
Right.
because it's back to this polarized society. It's everything has to be.
It
This
can't
or
be.
that.
It can't
It
be
can't
like
be nuanced. It can't be gray.
Right.
It can't be.
initial response to Endgame was meh.
Yeah, but my response to Endgame
Wait,
is still
whose
kind of meh. But
Stewart.
Really?
it's grown. Yeah,
Really?
it was overhyped because everyone was saying it was the greatest movie of all time and the best Marvel movie. It's clearly not the best Marvel movie. Is it a satisfying end?
Infinity War was the best Marvel movie.
It was Infinity War was a superior movie in every way than Endgame, but
Yeah.
the media hyped up Endgame to a point, and it was a satisfying conclusion. But
And
people
Disney
were
said
acting
no.
like it was the second
well, no,
coming
and
of
that's what-
movies.
Endgame was complete fan service, right?
Yep.
I mean, they
Sure.
did all the references to all the other films to get the super nerds involved. You know, just like, oh my god, they reference the whatever. That's insane, right? And you know, all those like
There's that kid from Iron Man 3's right there.
Exactly.
That's
Oh, yeah.
crazy.
Howard the
And
Duck
nobody
was
knew-
in the war scene. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, all those different things which were just crazy. So they did a masterful job at that. I mean,
Very
they
good movie.
really,
Very good movie. I'm not
really
saying it wasn't.
nailed
Say
it.
what you
to
will.
be-
I have yet to find anything overly negative about it. Where,
No.
quite
Right.
honestly, they just wrapped up 22 movies.
Oh yeah,
Story
And
arc.
they stuck the landing. There's not a question.
did,
right? They
absolutely.
Man.
nailed it.
Yeah.
However, in the context of cinema, it wasn't the greatest movie of all time, which is what everyone would have you believe. You know? And
just from
part
the
of me's
box
very
office,
happy
though.
that it's
So-
not going to catch The Force Awakens in the US box office. It's just not. It's running out of steam.
So you're saying that The Force
don't think so?
Awakens was
Is
the
it
best
not a
movie
better-
of all
No,
time?
No.
nor am I
Box
saying that Avatar is the greatest movie of all time in the
Because it
worldwide,
definitely wasn't.
worldwide box office. It just
I
hit
want to
a
know where
Oh,
did
right.
everyone like? I missed Avatar. I saw it on like an airplane.
Oh yeah, I saw it.
I didn't see it at the movie theater. I'll be honest. I didn't
No.
either.
So, and that's the
I
thing.
did.
I've asked most people if they saw it in the movie theater. Most
Yeah.
people I've asked have said no.
Maybe they hacked the system.
Maybe.
Maybe Universal bought all their own tickets. I don't know. No
No,
one can
it
really
was a
explain
huge-
why
it
Avatar
was a
was as big as it
huge-
was.
It was a huge movie. Everybody went to. It wasn't that great a movie though. I didn't
No, it
like
wasn't
it.
that
It
great.
was a good
I don't-
movie, but
I don't really
think
know
it's like,
that many people who saw it
mo-
on repeated viewings though. That's the
right.
that's
The one thing that
normally
it
what
had going
drives
for
all
it was
these, right?
timing, right? It was the first movie to really capitalize on 3D at a time when people
Yeah.
were kind of met about 3D. So a lot of people that I do know went to see it in 2D and 3D just to
Yeah.
see the comparison. So I think
Yeah.
that was probably part of their magic, which is pretty smart.
Well, that's James Cameron's skit.
Right. He
skit.
finds something
career.
new, right? And goes and
and does it.
leverages it, and then moves on. His sequels don't tend to be great, which is why I'm a little nervous that they're coming out with 4 more Avatar movies. They're not going to be billion-dollar movies.
Although
just not.
Disney has not made a mistake since buying Pixar, so
They haven't.
just going to put that out there. They have not had
You
a
better not
commercial
jinx it,
fail.
because Toy Story 4 is coming out soon, and they
Oh, yeah,
better
that's
not mess
gonna
it up. Because
Oh,
Toy
well,
Story is
there's no way.
probably the best trilogy of all time, and that's coming from me, who's a massive Star Wars fan. But Toy Story is a perfect trilogy,
Yeah.
and they're doing a 4th movie that could completely wonky that up.
But
So-
but Toy Story is also the best type of movie from a creative perspective. I mean, it's toys. They can go any direction in the entire universe of
I know,
any
like
toy ever
turning a
created,
spork
or they can
into a
make new
toy
ones. Exactly.
and
Yeah,
having it have a crisis about how
Right.
it's not a toy.
right. Exactly.
Yeah, it's
there's
genius.
genius.
It's
Yep,
so relatable.
Absolute genius.
Genius.
Yep. All right, gentlemen, I've really got to go. I've actually
Yeah,
got to
me
go
too.
prepare notes for our podcast that I've got to
All
record in
right.
about 30
Good
minutes.
stuff.
Hey, if people want to learn more about you, Stuart, or this podcast you talk about, where would they go?
And why Stuart hates Avengers Endgame? And
I
thinks
don't
it's a
hate it.
shitty
I
movie.
said very clearly. See, you're fake
no,
newsing
it's
me right
black
now.
and white.
Black and white.
Stuart. There
Yeah.
is no nuance.
Fake
You
news.
hate it.
No.
You're, yeah. exactly.
My text to Ed was meh, because I felt a little bit like I was sold a bill of goods that didn't quite deliver. That's it. It was
Oh.
a good movie.
I may have played a role in that selling.
Yeah,
of that,
John,
too.
no question. You are an influencer in my life. As much as to my very chagrin, you are an influencer in my life, and and you
Well-
influenced my anticipation for a movie that didn't quite live up to it. However,
That's why you want to see him opening night with no. Yeah.
that's right.
No
So yeah,
intent.
fueltravel.com is where we are. That's the mothership. You can get us anywhere on social media at Fuel Travel. If you want to listen to the podcast, just search for Fuel Hotel Podcast or Fuel Hotel Marketing. Or if you just search hotel marketing, we'll be number 1 because we're the greatest. But you can get all the old episodes at fueltravel.com/podcast. And there's a couple there on influencer marketing that we were talking about today. I think episode 110 and 96 you will find were both on influencer marketing. And then come see us at
And
High Tech.
like 105 when you did your top 10 ways to acquire new customers. I mean, you guys talk about it quite a bit.
There's a lot of good stuff for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
we did talk about influencer marketing in that. We did the 10 commandments of digital marketing last week, which was last episode was pretty fun.
And
this
you did
next
your
episode's
10 lists of top 5 things with
Listicles.
top 10 lists of
A
top 10
listicle of
lists.
listicles. Oh my.
It
Yes.
was very meta. It was really good. There's a plethora of information there, so go check out the archives. We have a lot of fun doing that show, and hopefully it's educational too. But if you want to know more about the products from Fuel, come see us at High Tech 2920. We're going to be there demoing all our latest wares, and it should be fun. And giving out the leisure travel study, which is going to have some really cool data as well. And you'll get it at High Tech before anywhere else. So
Nice.
there.
And Mr. Robert Cole, if someone wants to just be screamed at on Twitter, what should they follow?
They should
Rock
go.
Cheetah.
They should go follow Rock Cheetah on Twitter, which I have very little to do with aside from setting the original, RSS feed algorithms on those. But anyway, I think it's better to look at Robert.
It's an AI-based Twitter feed.
Yeah, I could probably describe it that
Listen,
way, which would be
if
as
you want
accurate as
to
other
be
AI.
barraged, just absolutely barraged on Twitter, you can do
Yeah.
one of 2 things. 1, follow Rock Cheetah, or 2, say something negative about UCF football. Either way, you're going to be
Exactly.
flooded with stuff
yeah.
that you just don't want.
Yeah. Oh no, that's
True.
for sure. But I would try rockcheetah.com perhaps.
Yeah, it's a
and,
better place.
Or
There you
Robert K. Cole. Those would probably be better than Rock Cheetah. Although I did get into some big trouble for accidentally breaking the Amazon doing flight bookings in India, which I didn't realize. I thought somebody had just commented that it came up at the Focusrite conference because it was in Europe last
Yeah,
week.
and it was
I
everywhere within moments of you putting it out there too.
Mhm.
Oh man, yeah, it was not.
So that wasn't
like, why
public
did
knowledge when you said that?
Apparently, one of the Focusrite people, who actually was the one who collected all the questions for the for Center Stage, sent out just this little note right when it ended. It was like, oh, that was probably like a little tidbit, right? I don't know. They didn't say breaking hot news, don't tell anybody, because there's FocusWire, right? They want to they want to do it. And Kevin
want to
Mays,
scoop,
a friend of
yeah.
mine, I would never want to scoop him if I knew it was secret, sort of thing. So yeah, I put it out there, and then I was really busy because I just saw it over. I didn't see it until 8 hours later, and oh yeah, my email, everything had like exploded. Why don't take it down? And Skift, Dennis Shaw, who's another friend of mine at Skift, had posted the thing, and he got credited for breaking the story. It was just very bad.
Whoops.
Oops, but
Robert
Anyway.
loves nothing more than running into a crowded room, yelling "bomb," and then just walking out and hearing about what happens later.
Well, I did a little bit more than that because all they said was this happened. I actually went to the site, figured out, and again, I had like 20 minutes between calls, right? My day was jammed. But, I'm eating a little lunch, working up my VPNing into India, getting into my, Amazon account to see what they were up to. And I produced some screenshots. It wasn't that hard. So anyway, yeah. Oops.
Congrats / oops.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, that's it. And Ed, where can people find you again?
Flip.to. You can hear about us on like the last 6 Fuel podcasts. Thank you for that, Stuart, by the way.
Someone wrote to us, Ed, and said, what is this? I forget how they said it, but it wasn't Flip2. It was like, what is this flu? Or like they just didn't pick up on what. So we're going to have to be a little clear about what we're talking about.
We need to really
know more about it because you talk about it all the time.
Flip, it should be flip.tonga, I think is really
exactly what it is. Yeah.
I know.
And then you can find me on social media, Edward St. Ange. And gentlemen,
tell him that UCF sucks.
Wait, is it Edward St. Ange or is it Edward Stonge? I mean, that's also
Stongi. Edward Stongi.
Correct.
Exactly.
All kinds are accepted.
Exactly.
Just don't call me
guys.
Okay. Bye.
Right,
see you next week. Bye.
I did it. I ended.